Chapter 906. Wind, Fire, Water, Earth. Wind and fire had passed, only 2 more tribulations remained. Gu Qingshan once again returned to the world made of water. Unlike last time, during this water tribulation, Gu Qingshan had to face 6 parallel worlds of herself. The first parallel world, Gu Qingshan, had already arrived and issued a test to Gu Qingshan. A few moments later, the other Gu Qingshan crouched down, carefully observing the formation runes on the water, and asked in surprise, "Who would have thought formations actually have such a wondrous use? Where did you learn this from?" Gu Qingshan replied, "From a cultivation civilization that can only live in the sky, never to return to the ground. Their civilization must be very impressive, that's right, and also very selfish. Come, put your hand on this jade tag, learn a few things before you leave." Another Gu Qingshan appeared. As the one facing the tribulation, "What is the order on your side called?" he asked. "Demon King Order. That sounds scary. My side's order is called Sanctuary. I know this order. Seems like you're living quite comfortably. It's normal, definitely not as hard as you, but there's also a bit of helplessness. No one's life is always smooth sailing. Are you married yet?" "Not yet, I don't want to. Something bad will happen if I do." "What's going on?" Someone will definitely come to steal my marriage, so I don't want to get married." "What? I never knew you were such a coward. Why don't you just kill them? You can't even protect your own woman?" I can't protect myself. Those girls are here to steal me, so that's why. The test I'm giving you is beginner mech construction. I can do that, but I'm afraid I can't compare to you." "It's fine. Why would I leave you here? Just do your best. I'll let you pass after you're done." "Thank you. By the way, why is your technology so advanced?" Because I activated Impartial Goddess. We broke through the North Pole ship's firewall and stole all of their research results. You can defeat a demon lord." "A demon lord? What's that?" "Forget it, pretend I never asked." "That's right. You are the strongest of all the me that came to test me. But I'm still not as good as you." "What's your order?" "Worlds Apocalypse Online, single player." "No wonder you're so strong. Alright, I have something to give you." "What is this?" "An extra-large jade scroll. All of my cultivation experience is in there." "Thank you." Gu Qingshan couldn't help but sigh while dealing with the water tribulation. "I didn't expect that in the countless parallel worlds, no other Gu Qingshan would be stronger than me. He was the strongest, and the source of all of this was the war god Ui that had always been by his side." Gu Qingshan had already noticed this situation. None of the me in any of the parallel worlds obtained the war god Ui, instead carrying other orders. Finally, the 6 versions of himself from the 6 parallel worlds had all left. The water tribulation was over. Gu Qingshan's body moved, and she was pushed out of this world by a huge force. Next was the final tribulation, the Earth tribulation. This was the final tribulation to reach 3,000 worlds realm, as well as the most unique of the 4 great tribulations. Even Origin promptly displayed lines of blood-red text on the UI to remind Gu Qingshan to take this tribulation seriously. Frowny-face, esteemed sir, you are about to enter the Earth tribulation. Let me remind you again, you are about to enter the most miraculous Earth world. This calamity is an extremely unique calamity. Please do not let your guard down because this order is unable to provide you with any assistance in this calamity." Gu Qingshan replied, "You make it sound like you've helped me when I faced the other tribulations." Origin paused. The text on the UI disappeared. It directly reminded her. Frowny-face, please be careful. During the Earth tribulation, all of your abilities will be sealed by the unique Earth world. You will not be able to use any of them." Gu Qingshan asked, "Will my memories be sealed?" "That won't be the case, but after entering the Earth world, all of your cultivation will be erased from the Earth world. You won't be able to take out any items that contain power. Your body will devolve back to the state of a normal person," Origin replied. "As long as I have my memories, my swordsmanship and combat experience will remain. I know how to deal with it, Gu Qingshan replied. Origin replied. Even if that is the case, please be extremely careful. If you die during the Earth tribulation, everything will be irreversible. I know. Gu Qingshan appeared calm on the surface, but she was actually feeling a bit anxious. The Earth world. No matter how much spirit energy you have, how many powerful spells you know, or how many thaumaturgies you have, none of them will be able to do anything in the Earth world. This world was very famous in the cultivation world. Because it forbade all miraculous powers from entering, cultivators must live as a normal person, struggling to survive in the Earth world. Gu Qingshan held her breath and waited. The darkness around her slowly faded away, replaced by countless flashes of light. The sky was bright. A few moments later, Gu Qingshan found herself standing on soft sand. I've entered the Earth world. Gu Qingshan took a deep breath. She was surrounded by a boundless desert. In the middle of the desert, there was a single road that led straight from this end of the world to the end of Gu Qingshan's vision. At the end of the road, there seemed to be a few faint buildings. All the information in Gu Qingshan's vision disappeared, leaving only a single line of text. Survive for 7 days. After he read through it, the blood-red text also disappeared. The scorching sun descended from above, creating a slight burning sensation on her skin. Gu Qingshan tried to release her inner sight, only to find that it could only work within her thought sea, not even a bit. He scanned her thought sea, only to find that all of her items had been sealed, in a state where she couldn't touch them. The good news was that the time around the Earth Sword had been completely frozen. Apparently, to ensure the state of her items, the laws of the Earth world had directly sealed the Earth Sword's state. This way, Gu Qingshan felt a lot more assured. The bad news was, as Gu Qingshan leapt up, the flight he expected didn't happen. He only managed to jump half a meter high before crashing back down. Fortunately, the sand was soft enough to not hurt his feet at all, but the heat from the sand gradually seeped through his boots and into the soles of his feet. He couldn't take out the black smog armor at all. The clothes that Gu Qingshan was wearing, including the boots, had turned from a high-grade cultivator's clothing into normal clothing. Gu Qingshan muttered, "How miraculous! What kind of power is this to turn everything into normal?" He quickly stopped paying attention to this. Because it was too hot, after just standing there for a while, Gu Qingshan was already sweating. For normal life forms, the desert was a harsh natural environment. Gu Qingshan looked at the buildings at the end of the road. That was his only chance of survival. He didn't waste any more time and started walking along the road towards those buildings. There wasn't a single cloud in the sky. The scorching sun shone down on the ground, causing the air on the road to twist. The entire world felt like a steamer. Gu Qingshan had already taken off his outer clothes to make a simple sun hat to cover his head. This was the longest and most difficult journey he had ever taken since he started cultivating. Sweat flowed down his back. His exposed skin was already red from the sun's rays. After walking for half an hour, Gu Qingshan was surprised to find himself gasping for breath. This truly is a miraculous world. It's able to turn my body into a normal person. Even my stamina is no different from a normal person. But there's nothing I can do right now. He had to maintain the rhythm of his breathing, do his best not to look up, and walk forward at a steady pace. Another hour passed. Just as Gu Qingshan felt himself falling down, he finally reached his destination. A path branched off from the road, heading straight towards the small desert town. There weren't any signs of life in the town, but he could occasionally hear the faint sound of music. That's right, no one would go out on such a hot day. Even though he was about to faint from the sun, Gu Qingshan still maintained the most basic level of caution. He narrowed his eyes as he observed the town. Many of the buildings in the town had signs of battle on them. The roads were filled with traps and simple fortifications. Some of the buildings closest to the road had been completely burned to the ground, their main doors were left open. But if he looked deeper into the town, the majority of the buildings were completely undamaged. Seems like the main danger still came from the road. Gu Qingshan didn't wait any longer. His stamina had already reached its limit, so no matter how cautious he was, he needed to find a place to hide from the scorching sun. He walked towards the town and stopped in front of the first destroyed building. After a bit of observation, he entered the building without hesitation. This was the building closest to the road. All the doors and windows were destroyed, the inside was a mess. Aside from a few empty shelves lying on the ground, there was nothing else. Seems like this used to be a supermarket before everything happened. As Gu Qingshan looked around, he felt a bit more relaxed. There wasn't a single thing that could be of use here. From another perspective, this also proved that the supermarket had been raided many times before. So this place should be safe for the most part. Without any sunlight in the room, Gu Qingshan finally felt a bit more refreshed. Taking advantage of the last bit of strength left in his body, Gu Qingshan made his way deeper into the building, pushed open a broken door, and continued heading inside. Behind him was the supermarket's warehouse and cargo room. Similarly, a lot of things had been taken away from this place. There wasn't even a bit of food or water left. On the ground, there was an empty bottle of liquor covered in dust, most likely abandoned here for quite some time now. Aside from that, there were also some old newspapers used to wrap things up. Gu Qingshan pursed his dry lips and walked up to pick up the empty bottle. He solemnly put the bottle into his bosom. This was the first thing that could be used as a weapon. After picking up the newspapers, he found a shady spot and sat down against the wall. Although he was very thirsty, Gu Qingshan estimated that he could still endure for a while. The most important thing right now was to recover his stamina. When he picked up the bottle just now, he almost dropped it. He wouldn't be able to deal with any situation in this state. Time slowly passed. The sun had gone down a bit, the temperature outside wasn't as high as before. Gu Qingshan had also rested enough. His stamina had finally recovered a bit. But he was even thirstier now, there wasn't even a drop of saliva left in his mouth. This was a sign of extreme dehydration. As a cultivator, when had he ever been in such a desperate situation? If it was any other cultivator, they would have already tried to find a source of water. But Gu Qingshan had already gone through the apocalypse, so he still maintained his calm and caution. He tossed the old newspapers on the ground. He couldn't understand the words here at all. But the pictures of various wars in the newspaper still gave him a few more guesses about this world. A world that couldn't use various abilities, but technology had developed to a certain degree. He saw some ancient flying machines and missiles in the pictures, as well as the prototype of a mech. As for the enemies of these things, they were either a certain type of human, or simply a mutated human body that turned into a monster. If that's the case, it would be very difficult for a normal person to deal with them. While thinking, Gu Qingshan moved his body a bit. He was sensing his normal human body, making sure that he had enough stamina to control his body and react accordingly. A few moments later, the sound of machines could be heard from outside. Gu Qingshan leaned against the wall and quickly glanced outside. He saw an ancient type of transportation vehicle. Chapter 907. The truck staggered to a stop on the side of the road. A black-haired middle-aged man, a woman, a black man, and a blonde man. They jumped down from the truck and began to move the simple barricade. Gu Qingshan coldly watched as they busied themselves without making a decision. He noticed that it was only the four of them who were moving the barricades. No one from the village came out to help. This was a bit strange. From the pictures on the newspaper, this world seems to be facing some sort of mutated creature crisis, heading towards the end of the world. Normally, when a truck returned at this time, the people of the village should be checking and guarding the truck, or at least out of their desire for food and information, someone would come to check. But the reality was that not a single person appeared in the village. Gu Shan leaned against the wall and silently watched as they moved the barricades away. Their movements were very practiced, as if they had done this a lot. After a while, perhaps because he was a bit tired from moving the barricades, the black-haired middle-aged man with a rifle on his back breathed heavily and loudly said, "I don't want to move these barricades anymore, or can someone help me find a few more living people?" The black man seriously replied. "Don't joke around. Without these barricades we're all done for, right now. We can only pray for God's blessing to let us find a few living people in the future to replenish our manpower," Blonde Man said. As they chatted, their movements slowly stopped. The sun had already gone down a bit, the temperature had dropped quite a bit. Night was about to fall. The 3 men and 1 woman gathered together and hid in the shade of the truck. They lit up a cigarette and smoked slowly. The blonde man worriedly said, "It's going to be another busy night. Let's all get some sleep, otherwise we won't be able to endure it." The man called oldly shook his head. "Unfortunately, there's no one to replace us. How unlucky. We finally found 2 helpers, but they're both women." The only woman glared at him and angrily said, "So what if they're women? At least they can help us wash our clothes and clean our rooms." Oldly smiled bitterly. "I'd rather eat a bit worse. As long as they can pick up guns to fight the monster, I'll be satisfied," the woman replied. "They're only 2 kids around 10 years old. It's already good enough that they can stay calm. How could they possibly pick up guns to kill the monster?" Oldly shrugged and showed a helpless expression. "I'm hungry. Let's take care of our stomachs first." The black man tried to smooth things over. They walked to the back of the truck and opened the back panel. Gu Shan was hiding in the dark. She squinted her eyes and looked carefully. The truck was filled with all kinds of things. There was food, furniture, clothes, and even a live pig. The pig was eating cabbage. The 4 of them carried a box down and swiftly opened it. In the box, the tin cans were neatly stacked, and there were also some drink. In the midst of the apocalypse, this was an entire crate of food. "I don't really like beef," the woman mumbled. "That won't do. We'll all eat 3 cans. As for you, you have to eat at least 2 cans. Otherwise, you won't be able to replenish your strength effectively. You'll have problems at night," Oldly said. Gu Shan's heart skipped a beat. In the apocalypse, canned beef was already a very good thing, yet she was still picky. Moreover, there was no limit to what these people could eat. 3 cans of food was enough to make an adult man bloated. Seems like their living conditions were quite good. Fortunately, Gu Shan had a good grasp of many languages, so she could understand that they were speaking a very obscure human language. Combined with their previous conversation, it was easy to tell that they had taken in 2 girls who couldn't fight. The 2 girls were also quite safe. Gu Shan's gaze fell onto Old Li's back, carefully observing his gun. This was a very ancient and primitive sniper rifle. Gu Shan herself was a mech player, and had even created the Blazing Angel mech, so a basic weapon like a gun was nothing to her. The sniper rifle on Old Li's back could only attack enemies at a range of 800-1000 meters, so it was only effective against small targets. It wouldn't be very effective against giant mechs that were made of metal. It wouldn't even be able to snipe from afar. But from how much Old Li treasured it, this sniper rifle seemed to have been with him for a very long time, and was his main weapon of attack. How weak. They seemed to be lacking people, and they were willing to take in even the most useless girls. From a certain point of view, this proved the nature of these people and their living environment. Not to mention the box of beef, as well as the living pig on the truck. This wasn't too bad of a start. Gu Shan lightly nodded. He had made his decision. Outside, the blond man gave each of them a can of food, then went to the truck to get 4 glasses. "Don't drink too much, 1 glass per person at most," Old Li warned them. They clinked their glasses and drank it all down. At this point, a sound came from not too far away. The few of them immediately looked in the direction of the voice, only to see a man standing in front of the burnt building. Save me." The man leaned on the railing and breathed heavily. "Don't move. It's not a monster, stay there and don't move. Wait a minute, it's a living person, they shouted indiscriminately and took out their weapons in a flurry. Gu Qingshan stood there speechlessly. These people's reactions are too unprofessional. With their level of skill, if they were to run into a real hitman, like Zhang Yongho, they would have been killed countless times already. Save me, what's wrong? What's the problem? The black man loudly asked. Thirsty. Gu Qingshan replied. The four of them exchanged glances. The blond man took out a pair of binoculars and carefully observed Gu Qingshan. He's not injured, seems like he's just lacking stamina. His eyes aren't mutated. He's a normal person, the blond man told the others while observing. Give him some water, the black man said. But we've already run out of water, Oldly said. Then give him some alcohol, the black man said. No, his body is already dehydrated, let's go back to the base and get him some water, the woman said. It's too far, let's quench our thirst first, Oldly insisted. He can't drink, it won't quench his thirst, it'll also affect his already weak mind, the black man also shook his head. The blond man joined the debate. Why not? In the olden days, it was because people were afraid of water being polluted that they liked to brew alcohol. Gu Qingshan was speechless as he listened to their argument. The sun was about to set and night was about to descend. If it really was as they said, that there would be a lot of danger at night, then staying here right now wouldn't be a good idea. Do I really have to waste my time here? Gu Qingshan silently sighed. Water, give me water. After saying so, he fainted. This time, the four of them stopped arguing. Bring him back and get him some water, Oldly made the final decision. It was a bumpy ride. Someone pried open his mouth and fed him some water. Gu Qingshan cooperated and drank a few mouthfuls, then slowly opened her eyes. A 16 to 17-year-old girl was feeding herself. You're awake? Can you drink water by yourself? The girl timidly asked. I can. Gu Qingshan tried her best to sit up from the sofa, received the cup, and drank all the water inside. She felt a bit better. Do you have any more water? Here, another girl offered her a bottle of mineral water. Gu Qingshan received the bottle, unscrewed it, and drank it all at once. With enough water, her body was finally able to recover a bit. Thank you again, thank you for saving me. Gu Qingshan looked at the two girls and smiled. It's nothing, we were also saved, one of the girls replied. Gu Qingshan turned to the other side and asked, You mean it was you who saved me? In front of him, the four people were cautiously observing him. Gu Qingshan was very calm. He had already gotten a good grasp of these people's temperaments, so as long as he was careful, there wouldn't be any problems. The blond man was holding a dagger in his hand. The woman's hand was hidden in her chest pocket, seemingly holding a weapon as she stared closely at Gu Qingshan. The black man was in front, Oldly was slightly behind. The two of them seemed to be casually placing their weapons on their legs. A decent emergency formation. Gu Qingshan silently praised them. Seems like other than bickering, they're also quite skilled. At least according to normal people's standards. Brat, what do you do? Oldly asked first. Scientist, Gu Qingshan replied. Everyone was surprised. They didn't expect to get such an answer. Where did you come from? The black man asked. The highway to the southeast. That direction isn't very safe, the blond man scowled. A bunch of trash, the woman muttered in a low voice, as if her emotions weren't quite right. Gu Qingshan quickly followed up. That's right, my means of transport was stolen, I almost died on the way here. They didn't kill you? At the time, when I went to take a dump, I saw a few guys coming from afar, so I quickly buried myself in the sand. They searched for a while, but the sun was too strong, so they couldn't take it anymore and took my car away. That's a smart one. You said you're a scientist, what do you study? Weapons, guns? No, a bit more advanced, Gu Qingshan replied. Fighter jets? Tanks? Cannons? The black man asked further. Gu Qingshan smiled. To the other party's knowledge, These should be considered advanced goods. It can be concluded that this world's technological level is about the same as I thought. It hasn't been more than 300 years since they first came into contact with firearms, and mechs are still in their early stages. Mechs. Gu Qingshan couldn't help but reminisce. In fact, in the olden days, mechs had never been favored by true military strategists before. A single missile could solve a lot of problems, but a single mobile mech's cost was several thousand times that of a single missile. Any weapon could replace a mech, achieving a military goal with the lowest possible cost. That's why no one would spend hundreds of times the effort to create a mobile mech. This went on for a very long time. It wasn't until technology had advanced to a certain point that mechs were able to play the role of superheroes that they once again entered the public's vision. Technological civilization continued to advance. The mech's cost problem was solved, AI was fully online. Mechs could learn everything by themselves, replacing humans to complete many tasks. Humanity entered an era of enjoyment. As machines replaced humans, the internal strife of humanity deepened. Furthermore, due to the disparity in technological development between countries, the mech's capabilities were also vastly different. And then war broke out. Countless mobile mechs took the place of humans, engaging in intense large-scale battles. One day the situation changed. People discovered that when large-scale mobile weapons were used in battle, there would be some sporadic and extremely rare situations that would occasionally occur. The most obvious example of this was the mech's ability to communicate with each other. They would create a machine language that humans couldn't understand, learn and copy each other's language, thus creating a type of evolution in the sense of machines. Humans couldn't understand this type of communication between mechs. But the mechs completely understood humans and understood war. At the same time, they were connected to the entire world's network, constantly learning and observing humanity's social structure and technological development. Humanity felt the true meaning of terror brought about by technology. The war ended. From that point on, all the mech's AI cores were erased. Each mech had to be controlled and ordered by a human. This was the famous first law of mobile mechs. A human's orders will dictate the actions of a machine. Do you know about mechs? Gu Qingshan woke up from her memories and asked. You mean you're a mech scientist? Oldly asked. That's right, Gu Qingshan nodded. Unfortunately, we don't have those things here, Oldly regretfully said. Then your identity can't be verified, we can't trust you, the woman said. The blond man also said, if you're from one of those trashy gangs, specifically sent to deal with us. The atmosphere suddenly became heavy. Gu Qingshan smiled and said, actually, verifying my identity is very simple. I know a bit about anything related to machinery, you can test me, what can you do? Oldly asked. What do you need? Gu Qingshan rolled up his sleeves. As long as I have enough materials and enough time, I can easily create a few powerful ancient weapons. Let me show off my skills now. His behavior and performance made the others heave a sigh of relief. Those gang members don't know anything about machinery, they were nothing more than a bunch of hoodlums before the apocalypse. Everyone exchanged glances. Can you really make anything related to machinery? The black man asked. I can't say everything, but I'm quite proficient in the field of machinery. Dealing with most situations shouldn't be an issue, Gu Qingshan humbly replied. Things from ancient times are very simple, but that doesn't exclude the possibility that there might be things that I've never seen before. Not to mention, this is the Earth world, there might be a lot of things that I don't know how to use, so I'll need to slowly explore them. Then, can you repair things? The woman asked. Repair? Repairing is even simpler than making things, because all the mechanical components are already there. All you need to do is find the problem and fix it. Whether it's the truck, the firearms, or even repairing an excavator to help them clear the roadblock, none of it was a big deal for Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan nodded. I can also be considered an expert at repairing things." The few of them looked at each other again, all of them rejoicing. The atmosphere in the room eased up a bit more. "Thank God, we finally have an expert. Our toilet bowl has always been broken," the black man helplessly said. Chapter 908. The sofa was very comfortable, so Gu Shan didn't want to move even a bit. A normal person's stamina really isn't good enough, they get tired too easily. The steaming hot meal was brought in by the two girls. The blonde man poured him a glass of liquor. Everyone's eyes were already different from before. Not only was the toilet quickly fixed, but Gu Shan also fixed some of the lighting and washing machines. The Black brothers said that the truck's engine also had some issues, so Gu Shan went to fix the truck's overheating problem. No matter who it was that was able to fix so many things, it meant that they really understood machinery. At this point, there was no longer any doubt about Gu Shan's identity. "Eat, scientist, I can see that you're very tired. After eating, take a rest and have a good night's sleep. Leave the outside matters to us," Old Li told her. "Will there be an attack?" Gu Shan asked in confusion. "It's very likely, those things are constantly evolving. A few days ago, I saw a guy trying to walk in the daytime on the road, but it took 7 to 8 seconds before he was burnt to death by the sun," the blonde man called Tommy replied. "They're evolving every day, who knows what's going to happen tonight," Old Li sighed. "It's fine, our firepower is very strong," the woman encouraged everyone. "All right, we should prepare ourselves. Scientist, the only thing you need to be careful of is that we'll be very tired from keeping watch, so we'll probably sleep until noon tomorrow, so please don't wake us up tomorrow morning," the black man told her. "Got it," Gu Shan replied and didn't ask anything else. Seeing how confident these people are, there shouldn't be any problems. "My current body is that of a normal person, I really need some energy to replenish myself and get some rest." He picked up the spoon and began to eat his portion of food. Heated canned beef, instant chicken curry, and rice. And a glass of liquor. "This is already very good. Can I have a bit more liquor?" Gu Shan asked. "Of course, you also need a good night's sleep. A bit of liquor will help you sleep better." Old Li put a bottle of liquor on the table. Gu Shan suddenly regained her senses. "I'm currently a normal person. If I drink right now, I won't have spirit energy to disperse it, so I'll definitely get drunk. That wouldn't do." He slowly put the cup back on the table and began to eat. "Don't you want to drink?" Old Li was puzzled. "My stomach isn't feeling well, so I'll pass," said Gu Shan. While he was eating, the four of them began to pack up their equipment. Protective clothing, flashlights, rifles, pistols, walkie-talkies, infrared binoculars, and ammunition were all prepared. "This mansion is very big, you can find your own room to rest in. All of our rooms have our names on them, just don't choose the rooms with the names," the woman told him. "All right, I understand," Gu Shan said. At this time, the few of them had finished packing up and were walking towards the top floor of the villa. "If you hear the screams of the monster, ignore it," Old Li said loudly. Gu Shan's heart skipped a beat. She asked loudly, "When will the danger begin?" "Around 11 o'clock," the woman replied. They left. Gu Shan looked at the clock on the wall. It was 10 minutes to 7. It was still early. Across from him, the two girls were still eating. "Leave the plates here, we'll clean them up," one of the girls noticed his gaze and said. "Thank you." Gu Shan stood up and left. He began to walk around the mansion. This mansion was the largest residential building in the entire town. The owner was said to have taken a plane to the capital as soon as the disaster broke out. After all, the capital was the center of the country, so there must be many ways to survive. But as the disaster continued, people found out that the safest place was the desert. The fewer people there were, the safer it was. While walking around, Gu Shan memorized each room. After walking around, he still couldn't find a suitable room. The apocalypse. He sighed, returned to the dining room, sat down, and began to think. You still haven't found a room? One of the girls smiled and asked. I haven't, Gu Qingshan answered. The other girl asked, then, Gu Qingshan, can you come with us to the basement to get something? I'm always a bit afraid by myself. What's there to be afraid of? But what are we going to get? Gu Qingshan smiled. Some food ingredients. They'll take turns to eat at night to replenish their stamina, the other girl answered. Then let's go, Gu Qingshan said. Thank you, the two girls appeared glad. The three of them went to the living room of the mansion. The two girls pulled back the thick carpet, opened the door on the ground with a key, and went downstairs. Hidden under the living room's floor, how ingenious, Gu Qingshan praised. That's right, the original owner of this place was a VIP. He had a lot of farms and crops, as well as a mine, the girl said. How did you find this place? The blonde man is that VIP's son. He didn't go to the capital with his father? He felt that the situation in the capital was unclear, so rather than putting his life in the hands of the unknown, it was better to first grasp what he already had to defend himself, then decide what to do after seeing the situation clearly. What a smart person, Gu Qingshan praised. They went all the way to the basement. This place was sturdy and well ventilated. A lot of weapons, ammunition, food, water, and medicine were stored here. There was also a small workbench and a simple bed in the basement, most likely used by the servants in the past to keep track of supplies and watch over this place. However, due to how deep the basement was, it couldn't help but feel a bit eerie. The two girls took some food ingredients and were about to leave. Gu Qingshan, on the other hand, was a bit hesitant. Let's go, what are we still doing here? One of the girls urged her. Gu Qingshan suddenly asked, is there any medicine here that can boost one's spirit? You're talking about stimulants, right? There are a few, one of the girls replied. She skillfully took out a box of medicine and a disposable syringe, and gave it to Gu Qingshan. As Gu Qingshan took the medicine, a line of red text appeared in front of her eyes. Military use body stimulant, 50 mg vial usage, intravenous injection side effects, headache for 24 hours a description. Takes effect in 30 seconds, lasts for 10 minutes. Can anyone else use this? Gu Qingshan asked. Of course, they all carry it with them, the girl replied. Gu Qingshan nodded. You can go up first, just don't lock the basement door. I'll rest here. The two girls opened their eyes wide, then giggled. You want to sleep here? One of the girls asked. The other girl advised him. You don't need to be afraid, this is a desert, there aren't any monsters here. The four of them should be able to handle it. That's not right. From the first time he observed them, they had been grumbling incessantly. This is what happens when a person is stressed, anxious, and impatient. While they were eating, they weren't complaining anymore, but they seemed to be quite worried. They weren't that confident about tonight. Gu Qingshan smiled bitterly at the girl. I'm a bit of a coward, I can't hear anything when I sleep, so this place is the safest. Seeing how insistent he was, the two girls didn't try to persuade him anymore. They came out of the basement, closed the door, covered it with a carpet, and went to the kitchen. Gu Qingshan went to the basement door, carefully checked the switch, then returned to the small bed and laid down. Exhaustion washed over Gu Qingshan so much that he couldn't even keep his eyelids open. Suddenly recalling something, he forced himself to get up from the bed and slowly searched through the large boxes of weapons. High-powered assault rifles, various pistols, grenades, bulletproof vests, combat uniforms, military boots, everything was in there. Bulletproof vests are a good thing. Not to mention that cultivator clothing doesn't have any effect in this place, so Gu Qingshan decided to take it off, put on a combat uniform, and put on the bulletproof vests. Give me a cold weapon. He muttered his prayers and continued searching. Until the final box in the corner of the room was opened, rows upon rows of cold weapons were neatly arranged. When Gu Qingshan touched these cold weapons, the corresponding blood-red text appeared in the void of space. Dagger, wailing survival blade, scimitar, Gurkha blade, long weapon, triangular blood spike, military Baoero. Gu Qingshan picked out a few cold weapons and equipped them with him. Holding the military bow in his hand, he finally felt a bit safer. At this point, another line of blood-red text appeared in the void of space. Frowny face. Attention, none of your skills can be used here. You cannot use spirit energy. Thank you for the reminder, Gu Qingshan replied. I'm still very familiar with the most basic fighting style of cold weapons. It's fine even if I don't have any techniques. He returned to his bed and laid down. After walking for half a day, repairing a bunch of things, and persisting until nightfall, Gu Qingshan couldn't hold on any longer. He had forgotten this feeling for many years, only occasionally appearing during extremely difficult battles. This was a feeling that only a normal person would have, true and helpless. Gu Qingshan understood very well that his body needed a lot of rest to recover. During this period of slumber, he would lose the ability to resist, making it very easy for the outside world to harm him. Because of that, regardless of what others thought of him, he needed to find a place to hide. He fell into a deep sleep. Deeper into the night. All of a sudden, a series of explosions could be heard from outside. Gu Qingshan suddenly opened his eyes. He laid down on his bed and silently listened for a while. The sound of machine guns, grenades exploding, as well as a few roars. The battle had begun. Gu Qingshan got off his bed, put on a pair of military boots, and quickly left the underground room. He quickly made his way to the attic, only to see 4 people each guarding a direction, firing at them. Scientist, why are you here? This place is too dangerous, hurry up, Oldly called out in surprise. I'll fight, Gu Qingshan replied. The blond man threw a grenade and loudly said before it exploded, You haven't gone through any training. If something happens, we won't be able to protect you. It's fine. Saying so, Gu Qingshan sat down in the middle of the 4 of them. Seeing how calm he was, the 4 of them didn't try to persuade him any further. He could have stayed in his room to rest, but he insisted on coming out to fight. How could there be such a person? This guy has a screw loose in his head, the woman muttered. Gu Qingshan put the military bow in his left hand, then took out the stimulant syringe, and filled it up with an4 before placing it on his right hand. I don't have a screw loose, you saved me before, so now it's my turn to protect you. Chapter 909. On the mansion's balcony. The 4 of them were focused on killing the monsters. Gu Qingshan hadn't done anything yet. He was calmly observing the situation. In truth, these monsters were nothing more than slow-moving undead. From the looks of it, they were the failed products of corpse refining sect's odd job disciples. How could such monsters cause the world to fall into apocalypse? While observing, Gu Qingshan was seriously contemplating. He suddenly noticed that there was a new addition to the hordes of living dead. It was a 3-meter-tall giant. Its muscles were constantly twitching, completely unmoved by the bullet. Evolved. Rocket launcher, Oldly shouted. The blond man picked up a shoulder-mounted rocket launcher from the ground, aimed at the monster, and fired. The rocket left a long trail of smoke as it flew, quickly hitting the monster. Boom! Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. But the other undead didn't seem to be affected and continued to head towards the mansion. Gu Qingshan noticed that more and more figures were appearing from further away. There are too many of them, the black man growled in annoyance. The others didn't say anything. The horde of undead was still heading towards the mansion, seemingly endless. At this point, Gu Qingshan put away his equipment, stood up, and patted Old Li's shoulder. Hey, what are you doing? Old Li couldn't help but ask. There are fewer monsters on your side. I'm going down from your side to see what's going on, Gu Qingshan loudly said. See what's going on, they're all monsters, you'll die if you go down, Old Li shouted. The sound of the machine gun was so loud that they couldn't help but speak loudly. Old Li picked up his gun and killed another monster. I'm a scientist, I want to study their body composition, Gu Qingshan said. Didn't you study engineering? To be more precise, mechs. Mechs have a branch of human bionics. We're used to using this method to understand our enemies. Oldly understood what he meant. What's the point of understanding them? They're monsters, he doubtfully said. You need to believe in science. Gu Qingshan patted Old Li's gun. Old Li thought about it and agreed. If they didn't have guns, they would have been dead long ago. Moreover, this scientist was very powerful. Almost everything related to machinery had been fixed by him. I might not be able to protect you, Old Li said. It doesn't matter. I won't go far. Besides, I can protect myself. Gu Qingshan patted the longbow in her hand. With that, he walked down the attic and quickly exited the villa, appearing in the open space outside the house. The other three quickly sensed his presence. Why did the scientist go down? The blond man picked up a grenade from the ground and threw it far away. Bang! Old Li covered his ears and waited for the violent explosion to pass before saying, he said he wanted to study the monster. A mad scientist, the woman said. The few of them looked down. Gu Qingshan had already crouched down in front of a corpse. The corpse had been shot several times, but it was still not completely dead. Sensing the arrival of a living person, it struggled to raise its head and was about to bite him. Don't move. Gu Qingshan stabbed the bayonet into the corpse's eye socket, pinning its head to the ground. The corpse struggled for a bit, then stopped moving. It was now that Gu Qingshan turned on the flashlight strapped to his shoulder, took out a dagger, and began to dissect the corpse. His movements were quick, effective, clean, and without hesitation. Let's take a look at the internal organs first. No heartbeat, the blood has turned black, most likely caused by infection. Most of the internal organs have withered, but the stomach has grown larger. You've clearly lost all the normal bodily functions of a human. Where did your strength come from? There's something inside the stomach. Let me take a look. It seems to be human tissue, feeding on humans to provide energy for its movements. The eyes have mutated, no longer have pupils, but they can still accurately see me. The teeth are even sharper, like those of a wild beast. The nose is completely dead. The ears have undergone a morphological mutation similar to evolution. Gu Qingshan spent a bit of effort to dig out the corpse's ears. He carefully looked at it, like he was looking at a work of art. Not bad, this is indeed a slight form of evolution, a miracle of life. Saying so, he stood up and walked towards the next corpse not too far away. Wait a minute, Old Li called out from upstairs. What is it? You've already finished your research, why aren't you back yet? A single specimen isn't enough, I'll need to study a few more to come to a conclusion. Saying so, Gu Qingshan crouched down in front of another corpse. He began to seriously dissect the corpse. This was all seen by the four people on the second floor. What a madman, the woman once again expressed her opinion. No, this is what a scientist should be like. The blond man showed an appreciative expression. Those who don't know anything like to brag and talk about other people's opinions, while a truly capable scientist would personally analyze and research the problem. Look, he's about to dissect the third corpse, the black man said. Pay attention to his safety. I think he'll definitely be able to help us a lot, the blond man said. All right, I'll protect him, Old Li said. Gu Qingshan returned to the attic. He seemed a bit tired, but his eyes showed a sense of excitement. Did you find anything? The blond man asked. We can basically confirm that they rely on sound and sight to find their prey. Sound is the main factor, but their vision isn't that great. They can only distinguish things within a few meters in front of them. Beyond 5 meters, they can only distinguish between light and darkness. Furthermore, when it comes to evolution, as long as they have enough food, their body's mutation speed will increase, Gu Qingshan explained. The few of them were completely stunned by what they heard. This scientist really does have some skill. What do you suggest? Old Li asked. I suggest that you don't shoot anymore, Gu Qingshan said. Don't shoot anymore? Isn't that the same as waiting to die? That's not the case, Gu Qing Shan tied a grenade to the arrow, pulled off the ring of the grenade, and quickly pulled the bowstring. He let go. The arrow turned into a blurred image and flew away with the grenade. This shot was fired with 100% of his power. The arrow flew through the crowd of zombies and landed on the road. Boom! The grenade exploded. All of the undead froze in unison. Almost half of them turned around and headed towards the direction where the grenade exploded. Only the living dead that were too close to the mansion hesitated a bit before continuing to head towards the mansion. What's going on? Oldley was confused. Sound, those monsters were attracted by the sound of guns, that's why they gathered here from afar. You'll have to give up on using guns because the noise they make is too loud, Gu Qing Shan patiently explained. Then how do we kill those monsters? The woman was confused. Gu Qing Shan pulled the bowstring again. In the darkness of the night, an arrow silently flew out and took out a living dead's head. They're slow, only when they get close to their prey will they suddenly use their power to accelerate, so as long as they're far away, we can use cold weapons to kill them, Gu Qing Shan explained. So that's how it is, but you said that they can see us, the blond man said. They're both super nearsighted, so that's easier to deal with than sound. We only need to turn on the lights of the other buildings and turn off the lights of our mansion, Gu Qing Shan explained. While Gu Qing Shan gave him a pair of infrared night vision goggles. The blond man froze again. Why didn't I think of such a simple principle? That's right, we can use night vision goggles, he muttered. The others also nodded. The blond man received the goggles and said to the others, "Do as the scientist said, move." They quickly took out their military crossbows, turned off the mansion's lights, and began to quickly and densely shoot the living dead outside the mansion. Halfway through, Gu Qing Shan strapped another grenade to her bow and shot it towards the road. Another group of living dead left. Everyone's pressure was greatly reduced. What was originally a battle of life and death had slowly turned into a shooting game. They even had time to eat a midnight snack. How did you find out about this? The black man couldn't help but ask. Perhaps you haven't heard of the biomech. In truth, basic information about the human body has long since been discovered by U.S. researchers, Gu Qing Shan replied. I really regret not studying properly back then, Oldley sighed. Studying properly isn't enough. Your IQ is low. Oldley didn't even look up as he ate and casually replied. The black man scowled. This field of science is very advanced, there's no reference, you have to slowly explore it bit by bit, you have to be passionate about it, otherwise you're forced to learn it by survival. Gu Qing Shan tried to smooth things over. That's why you love dissection? The woman asked without a trace. Seeing how calm and passionate he was when he studied the corpses, she was a bit scared. Dissection? Gu Qing Shan smiled. That's the foundation of another art. What art? Cooking. They were competing in archery on the open balcony to see who could kill the few living dead below. Under Gu Qing Shan's request, they were split into two groups, taking turns to sleep and rest. Finally, dawn. Gu Qing Shan stood on the balcony, taking the last watch. When the sun appeared on the horizon, lines of blood-red text suddenly appeared in the void in front of him. The Earth Worlds will has noticed your actions. It is about to come and communicate with you. Before that, the Demon King Order has an urgent warning for you. Do not provoke it. It is a world-class life form from the eternal abyss. It is more powerful than any power you know. Suddenly, the blood-red text seemed to have noticed something and completely retracted itself. Gu Qing Shan's vision blurred. The mansion, the road, the town, the living dead, the sky, everything disappeared in front of his eyes. A boundless gray torrent surrounded him. He didn't know what this gray torrent was, but it gave Gu Qing Shan a sense of unimaginable majesty. If a normal person was standing here, they would think that they've met the Creator. From a certain point of view, world-class lifeforms were creators themselves. The gray torrent slowly converged in front of Gu Qing Shan and manifested into a giant human head. It looked down at Gu Qingshan and spoke in a slow, drawn-out voice. "Cultivator, why have you come to my world?" Gu Qingshan regained his composure and replied, "I came to face my tribulation." Chapter 9-10. Gu Qingshan suddenly realized. This isn't the age of old, but several 10,000 years later. Just like during the fire tribulation, during the 4 great tribulations, I escaped from the phantom images and returned to my own timeline. Gu Qingshan stared at the boundless gray torrent and carefully asked, "Is there a problem with me facing my tribulation here?" "There is no problem. This is an ancient covenant that I signed with you humans. Its duration is eternity," the gray torrent giant replied. "A covenant?" Gu Qingshan couldn't help but ask. "That's right, cultivators are mystical lifeforms among humans. They need to absorb all sources of power in order to strengthen themselves," the giant's voice buzzed. "That's why you've signed an ancient contract with me, allowing you to gain experience from me, as well as the recognition of the Earth Saint Pillar's power." "The power of the Earth Saint Pillar?" The giant saw through Gu Qingshan's confusion and explained. Simply put, living beings are unable to leave the world created by the 4 Saint Pillars. "I know this. The 4 Saint Pillars are earth, water, fire, and wind, representing the composition of all living beings in this world," Gu Qingshan replied. "That is correct. For living beings, the Earth Saint Pillar represents their bodies." The giant let out a long sigh and continued to speak in a slow tone. "Living beings have always believed themselves to be the rulers of all things, but in truth, they are dominated by their own bodies, controlled by time, limited by space, and determined by the laws of how all things operate, dominated by their bodies." "I beg to differ," Gu Qingshan replied. The giant smiled and continued. "Because you are a cultivator, the various desires manifested by your body cannot control your will. That is why you were able to arrive at my place and undergo the trial of the Earth Origin Power." Gu Qingshan understood a bit. "The Earth Origin Power represents my body. No wonder I can't use any of the powers inside my body. I must act like a normal person during this tribulation, using other means to overcome this shackle on my body and survive." "Thank you for your guidance. Why did you come to see me?" Gu Qingshan asked. As a sword cultivator, Gu Qingshan was already very respectful of the other party for being able to talk for so long before getting to the point. A solemn expression appeared on the giant's face. "In the past 100 years, there has been a problem in this world. Living dead. Yes, although their evolution is slow, I have taken a look at the future and saw the sight of them destroying everything. Their destruction would greatly weaken my power, forcing me to end a battle in shame. These things are not worth mentioning in front of you. Why don't you deal with them yourself?" Gu Qingshan was confused. "They didn't use any power, but mutated from within their bodies. This is in line with my rules, so I can't act." The giant sighed emotionally and continued. "I have already imposed the harshest conditions on this world. No special power can descend here, so I cannot impose another rule, otherwise the world will collapse." "What do you mean?" "Cultivator, you can stay here for a few more days. If you can help me solve the problem of the undead in these few days, I will give you a gift." Gu Qingshan seriously listened to him, then smiled bitterly. "Your world is vast and boundless, while I have lost all of my powers and am nothing but a normal person right now, unable to save your world," the giant replied. "The power within your body cannot be used. This is the rule of the earth, but you are a very smart cultivator, possessing meticulous observation skills and a wealth of knowledge. Other than that, you also possess an unimaginable power. I believe that you have a chance to save this world. That is why I came to see you in person." Gu Qingshan was a bit confused. "I don't know what kind of power you're talking about." Before he could finish his words, a finger had already reached out from the gray torrent and tapped his forehead. The giant's voice resounded. "This is not a power that comes from your body, nor is it the cruel order. That you carry this is an unknown power that doesn't belong to the eternal abyss, so I am not familiar with it. However, it was copied from something else, so it contains its own power. When you use this power, it will not go against the rules of the earth. Following its voice, an icon appeared in the void of space in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes. A golden dagger was carved on the icon. Gu Qingshan blankly stared at this icon. He recalled back in the cold jade forest, after he killed the god of frost and chill, in order to impersonate this divinity. He spent soul points to upgrade war god skills. Only then did he use the ice formation to learn the god of frost and chill skills. Now that he thought about it, the situation at the time was still vivid in his mind. I've spent 1 million soul points to upgrade war god skills. Received 1 million soul points, war god skills upgrade complete. The war god UI replied. The upgrade was completed so quickly? He asked. Of course, the system had already prepared it, the war god UI replied. But why don't I sense any changes in the system? Gu Qingshan doubtfully asked. The war god UI paused briefly. The icon for war god skills was jumping. Did you see it? The icon is jumping now. The war god UI casually asked. So the war god UI had already been preparing for everything since that time. Gu Qingshan suddenly recalled the conversation between the war god UI and himself at the Grand Tai Wei city wall when he activated the human army. You've been collecting soul points all this time just for this moment? He asked. No, I only hope that all of my preparations were unnecessary. The war god UI replied. Indeed, this icon was war god skills. The Demon King Order was already updating with lines of blood-red text to explain this icon. Frowny face suspicious power system detected a source. Unknown. After thorough analysis, the following description has been made. Name, War God Skills, Duplicate, contains 300,000 soul points, can be used to learn skills. This power system is a learning type unique ability, harmless, activation requirement. At the time of need, the unknown object has been detected by a world-class lifeform, has now been officially activated. Gu Qingshan sighed deeply. So the icon that could move was left for me in the end. So all of the War God UI's preparations were finally put to use. An indescribable emotion appeared in Gu Qingshan's mind. The Grey Flow Giant looked at Gu Qingshan and asked with a resounding voice, "Are you willing to help me save this world? If you can do it, I will reward you in return." Gu Qingshan calmed her emotions and replied, "All right, I can try, but I can only stay here for a few days. My time is very limited. I'm helping you, can't you at least provide me with some benefits?" The giant pondered briefly, then spoke with a decisive tone. "I will grant you a bit of blessings." Blessings? What use would such an intangible thing have? Gu Qingshan was disappointed. The giant smiled and said, "I wish you luck." Saying so, it turned into a gray flow and disappeared from Gu Qingshan's sight. All the supernatural phenomena disappeared. Gu Qingshan found himself still standing on the balcony of the mansion, keeping watch. In his vision, the Demon King Order had already returned, and the copy of War God Skills was above the Demon King Order's UI, giving off a sense of detachment. Gu Qingshan smiled and muttered, "Old friend, seems like we'll have to fight side by side." A voice came from behind her. "Fight side by side?" The black man drowsily stood up and continued, "From now on, no matter what danger we face, I'll call you first, Scientist Gu Qingshan." "No problem," Gu Qingshan smiled. The sound of footsteps could be heard from the top of the stairs. Two girls had prepared breakfast and caringly brought it to the balcony. "Please have breakfast, you've all worked hard yesterday." One of the girls smiled sweetly. At this point, the others had also woken up. Everyone yawned and sat up, chatting as they ate. "Now that we know how to deal with those monsters, what do we do next?" Oldley took a big bite of bread and asked with a lisp. The blond man took a sip of his liquor and smiled. "I think we should listen to the scientist's opinion." Everyone looked at Gu Qingshan. While eating a fried egg, Gu Qingshan said, "I want to leave this place and take a look at the big cities. Big cities are dangerous, the woman chimed in. But to change the situation, I need to go to a place with more advanced technology and come into contact with those mechs, Gu Qingshan said. We've already found a way to deal with the monsters, why don't we stay here? This place is clearly safe, Oldly said. Gu Qingshan patiently explained. These monsters are all evolving, one day they'll become invincible, so we need to solve this problem before that happens. Everyone fell into thought. At a time like this, it's really hard to make a choice. It's fine, you can stay here, I can go alone, Gu Qingshan smiled and said. I'll go with you, the blonde man was the first to speak. If staying here is a slow suicide, I'm willing to give it a try as well, Oldly said. I still feel like this place is the safest, I won't risk it, the black man said. The woman hesitated a bit, then dejectedly said, I'm not going either, I have to take care of the two girls, Gu Qingshan consoled her instead. All right, it's fine, we do need someone to stay here, if anything happens, we'll at least have a way out, the woman glanced at him in surprise. Gu Qingshan didn't pay attention to her reaction. He began to think about what he should do next. This place was deep in the desert, so it would take an entire day to get to the nearest city from here, even by car. How inconvenient. If only we had a plane. Gu Qingshan muttered in a low voice. The blond man shrugged. Our only plane was taken away by my father, Oldly also added. That's why we can only use a truck. It's not a bad idea, it can carry a lot of things. A few seconds later. A loud noise came from the sky. Everyone turned to look, only to see a plane flying towards them from the horizon with smoke rising from its tail. The plane had obviously noticed this town, so it circled around and landed on a road not too far away from the town. On the balcony, everyone was stunned. Chapter 9:11. You're a mechanic? That's great. The beautiful stewardess exclaimed. Everything that happened after that was truly unremarkable. Because everything went too smoothly. Gu Qingshan went to the tail of the plane to take a look and found a small problem with the engine. After changing a few small parts, the problem was quickly solved. Everyone on the plane was grateful. There weren't any powerful defensive measures on the plane, so if they couldn't be fixed soon, it would be impossible for anyone on the plane to survive in the desert at night. So when Gu Qingshan offered to take the plane, no one refused. The blond man and Oldly also boarded the plane. This plane is heading to East Fan City, it'll take about 2 hours. The blond man finished flirting with a beautiful stewardess and returned. Oldly found a map, carefully looked at it and said, This is good news, East Fan City is very close to the capital, only half an hour's drive away. The most advanced mech research center was located in the suburbs of the capital, so the three of them had already made up their minds to head to the capital. Gu Qingshan looked at the map and pondered. This plane is going to pass through the capital, isn't it going to stop there? Unfortunately, it's flying straight to East Fan City without stopping, the blond man replied. The plane's broadcast suddenly sounded. The stewardess' gentle voice came from the broadcast. Dear passengers, due to the plane's previous malfunction, we will have to stop at the capital for a while. The airline company will quickly examine the plane's condition to ensure your safety during the journey. We hope you understand. The three of them exchanged glances. The blond man said, Very well, it seems we're in luck. After getting off the plane, the three of them were led to an internal room in the airport to wait for their accommodations. Unbeknownst to them, their appearances had already been sent to the National Security Center for identification. Very quickly, the first identification result came out. Appearance match. 97% confirmed. Li Wei, retired soldier, sniper, winner of the Patriotic Medal, followed by the second identification result. Frowny face appearance match. 99% confirmed. Xiao Er, member of the Board of Directors of the Northern United Mining Group, philanthropist, well-known figure of the Northern Continent. Followed by the third identification result. Frowny face. The system has no record of this person, reporting to the National Security Bureau, at another location. The National Security Bureau. Meeting, emergency meeting. Raoul, have you finished your business? Come quickly. It's coming. The man named Raoul hurriedly pressed the confirm button on the computer. These were all things that had already been taken care of. All he needed to do was to clean up the mess. Hi, Raoul. Wait for me before you get off work. I have something to talk to you privately. A beautiful woman in uniform whispered in his ear and quickly walked into the conference room. She was the most beautiful woman in the office and the dream lover of all the men in the bureau, regardless of whether they were married or unmarried. Raoul's eyes followed the woman's back, and the fragrance of her perfume lingered in his nose. He couldn't help but say, "Okay, I will wait for you." His hand subconsciously tapped on the Enter key on the computer, signing documents one by one. When Gu Qingshan's identification document appeared, it was also quickly confirmed. When Raoul looked back at the computer screen, all the work had been completed. He closed his computer and strode towards the conference room with his cup in hand. At the airport. Here, these are your passes, I'll handle the paperwork and you'll be able to leave soon. The security director of the airport handed 3 passes to Gu Qingshan and the others. Before the security director left, he smiled and winked at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan was confused. The other party thought that he was a member of the same secret organization, but Gu Qingshan didn't know anything. That fatty gave you a flirtatious look, Oldly whispered. I saw it, he was a bit strange. Gu Qingshan put the passes into her pocket. There's nothing strange about that. Who can say for sure when it comes to feelings? The blonde man seemed to understand. Oldly and Gu Qingshan exchanged glances. They discreetly moved away from the blonde man. Where are we going now? Oldly asked. We need to find a mech first. I want to take a look at its structure, Gu Qingshan said. That won't be easy. Each mech is a weapon of mass destruction, under strict surveillance. Us civilians won't be able to get close, Oldly helplessly said. Bam! The door was pushed open again. The security director came in, looked at Gu Qingshan and asked, Did you fix the plane? I did. Our security mech had some problems. The mechanical engineer happened to be on leave today. I think you might be an expert in mechanics. How about you take a look for us? Oldly and the blonde man both looked like they just saw a ghost. No problem, Gu Qingshan smiled. He stood up first and followed the security director outside. Oldly and the blonde man hurriedly followed. Oldly couldn't help but glance at the blonde man. His expression seemed to be asking a question. Who exactly is this guy? The blonde man shrugged and made a fixing gesture to express his thoughts. A mech scientist. He's already proven himself to be an expert in this field. Oldly pointed to the sky and made a praying gesture. No, I think he's God. The blonde man laughed and shook his head. You're overthinking it, this is all a coincidence. At the security outpost, 7 to 8 staff members were loading a large security mech onto a transport vehicle. As soon as they hoisted the mech up and were about to load it onto the transport vehicle, the airport security director came. Wait, don't move it yet, let the expert take a look. Hearing that, the staff members sighed helplessly and were about to put down the mech again. Gu Qingshan was a bit moved, but said, It's fine, just transport this damaged mech to the component storage center. If I find any problems, I can immediately replace the parts. That was a good idea, so the security director agreed right away. They quickly arrived at the maintenance and equipment center. The mech was unloaded. The workers left. How is it? Can you take a look? The security director asked. Gu Qingshan walked around the mech, carefully observing this 3-meter-tall machine. This mech was armed with a large machine gun. Its body was fully loaded with ammunition, as well as a detachable heavy cannon on its back. This was a very primitive humanoid mech. The control panel was exposed to the outside to allow the operator to observe their surroundings. All of the mech's movements were controlled by the operator's buttons and handles. This definitely wasn't a mech that normal security guards would use, as this mech was mostly used for suppressing and clearing the battlefield. The mech was already very crude, but on top of that, it sacrificed its mobility in order to increase its overall firepower. Seems like the mutated evolved beings near the capital were already quite powerful. Gu Qingshan squinted her eyes and continued to evaluate this primitive mech. From a conceptual point of view, this mech was still at the most basic design stage. The designer still hasn't reached the famous concept of humanoid machine, or humanoid machine. But that's fine, I'll be able to redesign this mech whenever I want. It's not a big problem, it might be caused by some small components that need to be checked, Gu Qingshan replied. That's good, this thing is too expensive, if something goes wrong, we won't be able to explain ourselves, the security director said. Gu Qingshan, the blond man, and oldly pushed the maintenance ladder next to the mech and leaned on it. I need to take a look at the control panel, Gu Qingshan said. The security director hesitated for a second. The other party is a member of the Secret Service. The Secret Service has already verified their identities. Not to mention, this is only a security mech with a problem. Alright, no problem. He went up first, opened the mech's control panel, pressed his fingerprint, entered a series of passwords, then set the mech's authority to maintenance. When the mech is under maintenance, the operator wouldn't be able to activate its movement system, fire control system, or even the internet. The operator would only be able to display the mech's entire structure, as well as be allowed to repair and replace its components. This was very safe. The security director came down and smiled. Please come to the staff cafeteria at noon, I've already made the necessary arrangements. Furthermore, when you leave, our airport will send a car to send you off, thank you. You should come up as well, I need some help, Gu Qingshan said. The blond man and Oldly both nodded. They climbed up the maintenance ladder to the mech's control panel. Various indicators, buttons, communicators, as well as 2 combat control panels appeared in front of them. Oldly whistled. The blond man also held his breath. For every man, this type of large-scale war machine made entirely out of cold machinery had a sort of dreamlike allure. Gu Qingshan put her hand over these devices. In the void of space in front of her, the War God Skills icon lit up. Lines of glowing text began to fill the screen. Frowny face calculating. This mech has performed various comprehensible skills. Details are as follows: discovered runes and symbols of this world, comprehension cost 100 soul points. The discovered mech control method, as you are a mech builder who far surpasses this civilization's level, comprehension cost 1 soul points. Discovered secret communication password usage rule, comprehension cost 30 soul points. Discovered mech programming and operation system. Construction method, as your level far surpasses this system. Construction method, comprehension cost 1 soul points. Discovered this world's mech repair method, as your level far exceeds this system's construction method. Learning it will cost 1 soul points. Gu Qingshan glanced over and silently muttered in her mind, comprehend them all. A warm feeling flowed down his arm and into his mind from the mech very quickly. He understood this world's language, the mech structure, the operation of the system, the password setup and arrangement, the repair method, etc. How is it? Is it hard to repair it? The security director loudly asked from below. Gu Qingshan replied, I do need to change a few parts, but there won't be any problems after that. He quickly clicked on the control panel. The damaged parts were taken off one by the mechanical arm and displayed in front of Gu Qingshan. There really is a problem. Please show them to the director. Gu Qingshan picked a few and gave them to the blond man and Oldly. They took the parts away. The security director understood a bit, so he took a look and found that it really was a problem with the damaged parts. I need you to authorize me so that I can take the new parts and install them, Gu Qingshan said. I've already authorized you, the security director smiled. Gu Qingshan then turned around and arranged for the blond man and Oldly to help operate the machine, move and transport the mechanical equipment. This was a simple task that both of them could do, while Gu Qingshan continued to operate the mechanical arm to repair the mech. When everything was ready, the blond man and Oldly returned to the control panel and breathed heavily. "The new parts are ready, are we going to start the repair now?" Oldly asked. Gu Qingshan nodded and spoke in a low voice. "Once he's gone, we'll start." "He's gone?" The blond man and Oldly were a bit confused. ZZ, all of a sudden, the security director's intercom rang. "Director, there's a group of mutated living dead approaching the airport." The security director was shocked. "I'll be right there." He rushed out like a bolt of lightning. The mech maintenance and repair center returned to silence. Oldly and the blond man were both stunned. "Very well, I'll now begin to reconstruct this mech." Saying so, Gu Qingshan took out his holobrain from his inventory bag and activated it. He began his preparations. Next to him, the blond man and Oldly silently exchanged glances. Neither of them said anything. Oldly shrugged and made a questioning expression. "What do you think now?" The blond man firmly pointed to the sky. Chapter 9:12. The holobrain was taken out. Looking at his holobrain, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but think. "I don't know why I can take this out either. Could it be a hint from the world spirit?" With that in mind, Gu Qingshan tried using his inner sight. Unfortunately, his inner sight still couldn't leave his body and could only stay in his thought sea. Gu Qingshan didn't feel discouraged and continued to think about it. "Since I've received the hint from the Earth world, can I take out more things from my thought sea?" He controlled his inner sight to take out other things. Even after trying all sorts of unique items, he still couldn't take them out. Gu Qingshan looked at his holobrain again. According to the rules of the Earth world, technological items like this weren't considered unique items. The holobrain doesn't have any mystical powers, but it's very compatible with this world's technological development. What other technological items do I have? Gu Qingshan quickly searched through his thought sea. After a while, he couldn't help but give up on this attempt. As a high-ranking cultivator, other than his personal holobrain, nothing else on his body can be touched by normal people. He couldn't even take out a low-level pill. Not even the seafood from the Chaos Demonic Sea. After regaining his composure, Gu Qingshan turned on his holobrain. "Pa!" The entire holobrain shattered in front of him. Gu Qingshan stared at the remains of his holobrain in shock. "So even my holobrain can't be used. But why can I take it out?" He was stunned for a bit, then realized. "What is this?" Oldly asked. "My personal processor." Gu Qingshan carefully picked up the shattered holobrain and put it on the table. He looked through the remains of the holobrain, picking out the knowledge unit, the AI module, the information storage center, and other relatively intact items. "How wonderful," Gu Qingshan muttered. The only thing that was destroyed was an insignificant part of the holobrain. The true core components were all intact. These components didn't contain any mystical powers, and since they were already destroyed once, they were allowed to remain in the Earth world. From the looks of it, the Earth world's spirit had already gone easy on him. The will of the world was helping him as long as he didn't break the rules. In other words, it was helping itself. Gu Qingshan tapped on the mech maintenance arm and picked out some things from the spare parts inventory. He began to reassemble the new holobrain. Once the components of this world were mixed in, the holobrain would no longer be destroyed by the laws of the Earth world. A short while later, the new photon computer was assembled. "Activate," Gu Qingshan ordered. The AI lit up. He succeeded. Gu Qingshan finally understood. The Earth world's strict laws were created to protect itself. Now, although he slightly violated the rules, his goal was to help it, so it helped him avoid the rules. TSK. As expected, no one who could become a big boss was simple-minded. Gu Qingshan collected her thoughts and began to work seriously. Now let's enter a new language, Gu Qing Shan spoke to the holobrain. Preparing to enter, the holobrain responded. Gu Qing Shan uttered the pronunciation of 36 letters, then began to recite the words, phrases for 10 minutes. Language analysis in progress, reconstructing interface. Very well, I will now connect you to the MEX data transmission line and charging cable. You will need to test the password, then try to connect to this world's network. Holobrain ready, please connect to the network. Connection successful, beginning password calculation. The password encryption method is relatively primitive. Decryption will be completed within 20 seconds. A network connection completed. What should we do next? Gu Qing Shan turned to the blond man and asked, if I remember correctly, the Mech Research Center is in the outskirts of the capital? Yes, it's not too far from here, the blond man replied. Gu Qing Shan thought for a bit, then muttered, time is precious, let's finish this as soon as possible. He issued a new order to the holobrain. Hack into and take over the Mech Research Center's network, combine the 21 mech blueprints I've prepared, choose a melee-type mech and find suitable materials to construct it. Understood, suitable mech blueprints have been selected. Currently remotely controlling the Mech Research Center's laboratory, block all information, turn off all surveillance. Cameras, trial produce the ambush-type mech, trial produce commencing, please wait for 70 minutes. Trial produce successful, the ambush-type mech has been completed, Gu Qing Shan ordered. Conduct data analysis, sir, what kind of test will we be conducting? Combat, understood, 7-8 minutes later. Sir, the battle is over, what's the result? The undead are all dead, that's normal. Don't be ridiculous, in my current era, the technology is several dozen times more advanced than this world, and I'm a specialist in this field, not to mention the fact that I even have the creator of this world standing behind me. If I can't even create a usable mech with all that, Gu Qing Shan feels like I should die as an apology. The next step was the most important one. Take over the world's network, begin mass production of the ambush-type mechs in the various mech research and production facilities. To avoid causing chaos, initiate a worldwide broadcast in 1 minute. I'll explain what's about to happen. Understood. Gu Qing Shan turned around, looking at the blond man and Oldly. Prepare to go on TV. Oldly hurriedly took out a comb and began to comb his hair. The blond man anxiously said, about that, we don't need to go on TV, do we? We need you to show up because the mechs can't leave human control, otherwise there's a chance that something might go wrong, and with this world's technology, there's no way to stop the mechs. From now on, the mechs of this world will have to listen to your orders, Gu Qing Shan replied. But we didn't do anything, the blond man refuted. You've helped me before, this is my small repayment, Gu Qing Shan replied. A minute later, the screen lit up. Gu Qing Shan began to speak to the world. Everyone, please remember this day well. The darkness has passed, the era of mechs has arrived. When Gu Qing Shan finished speaking on TV, he found himself leaving the Earth world and arriving in front of a boundless gray torrent. I think I've only been here for 2 days, Gu Qing Shan pondered. The giant's laughter resounded from within the gray torrent. Do you want to become the king of my world? He asked. No, I'm only here to face my tribulation, Gu Qing Shan replied. From within the gray torrent, a giant face appeared in front of Gu Qing Shan. How did you come up with the idea of creating a mech to solve this crisis? The giant asked with an echoing voice. Knowledge can change fate, technology can change life. I'm good at this, Gu Qing Shan replied. You're good at a lot of things, the giant said. Mechs and cooking, there's nothing else, Gu Qing Shan replied. Very well, cultivator, I've considered you to have passed your Earth tribulation, because no one will be able to kill you from now on. Thank you, sir. You've helped me with something, so according to our agreement, I will reward you. However, because your strength is too weak, I can only give you something in a way that you can bear. Thank you again. Go back. When you return to where you belong, you will receive that small gift of mine. Wait a minute, I have something to ask. Boom! The gray torrent rushed towards Gu Qingshan and drowned him. Gu Qingshan slowly lost consciousness. When he suddenly woke up, he found that he was still standing in the wilderness. Luo Bingli, the figure of light, and the god of frost and chill were all protecting him. How regretful! I wanted to ask about the soul shrieker, Gu Qingshan muttered in annoyance. In front of his eyes, lines of blood-red text appeared. Frowny face, you've passed the 4 tribulations of earth, water, fire, and wind. You've become a 3,000 worlds realm cultivator. Quest. Advance, young man. It has been completed. You've received the reward. Continuous evolution of the order. The Demon King order will begin its evolution. The next stage will be revolution. Before that, please draw a condemnation card. As you've given up on the Void Revolution realm card draw, you will be able to choose a card to draw and obtain it. Special reminder, world-class lifeform. The Earth World's creator has bestowed upon you the card it bestowed upon you. Will also participate in this draw, 1 card. After another slowly manifested on the Origin UI. Gu Qingshan's gaze passed through all the cards before finally stopping at the one that gave off a golden glow. On the card, there were 2 snakes entwined together, spiraling upwards. Below the card was a line of text. Frowny face golden card. Earthen dual body. When you use this card, you will be able to control the body of another entity for the next 10 minutes, regardless of whether the other party is a living being, a thing, or an eternal description. This is the Earth World's creator's gift to you. It is a powerful guardian of the law of the earth. Considering that this power is too powerful and that frequent use will draw the attention of the Earth World's enemies, the Earth World will only allow you to use this power once. The power of the Earth Saint Pillar shall protect you. Chapter 9:13. Following Gu Qingshan's choice, all the other cards on the Origin UI disappeared, leaving only the gold card. Lines of blood-red text began to explain. Frowny face attention, for you, the condemnation card is the only tool that can carry the Earth Creator's power. This is a gold card. The power contained within it far surpasses your imagination. If you choose this card, you will not be able to draw any other cards. Gu Qingshan answered without hesitation. I choose this card. Don't be ridiculous, this is a gold card. Little Dusk told me that above Lapis is the azure card, above Lapis is the purple card, and above the purple card is the gold card. Even 1,000 Lapis cards can't compare to a single gold card. Even though this card can only be used once, Gu Qingshan had already recognized its importance. Following Gu Qingshan's choice, the gold card fell into his hand. You've obtained the gold card. Earthen Dual Body, this order has completed all quests. The order will now evolve towards the Revolution state. During the Revolution state, you will be able to summon and control demon god-type weapons of war. After the lines of blood-red text appeared, they slowly faded into the void of space. Gu Qingshan no longer paid attention to the Demon King order. He closed his eyes and carefully sensed the intense spirit energy surging through his body. A 3,000 worlds realm cultivator could easily destroy heaven and earth with a wave of their hand. 3,000 worlds realm cultivators, even in the 900 million world layers of the future, were top-level combatants among the Lord class. But all of that was meaningless in front of an abyssal monster. Gu Qingshan sighed, summoned his giant wings of swords, and shouted, "Scatter!" 700 flying swords scattered in response, performing a series of sword seals in the void of space, as natural as flowing water or as agile as an antelope. Gu Qingshan could now control 1,200 flying swords, but he hadn't found any more yet. With his 3,000 worlds realm strength, controlling 700 flying swords was a piece of cake. Furthermore, due to the large increase in spirit energy, the power of his swordsmanship had also increased, reaching a whole new level. After re-evaluating her strength, Gu Qingshan retracted her sword wings. Luo Bingli, the figure of light, and the god of frost and chill all flew in front of him. How is the Demon King Order? The figure of light asked. It's currently evolving, it will soon reach its revolution form, Gu Qingshan replied. The figure of light sensed him and found that the order on his body was indeed in a dormant state, so he spoke in satisfaction. That's quite good progress. The god of frost and chill asked. What happened after you went to the demon realm? Why do you want us to leave that phantom image immediately? Both Luo Bingli and the figure of light appeared attentive. Gu Qingshan said, the demon realm is in a mass panic. My spirit sense is telling me that I can't stay in the demon realm any longer. I can feel death approaching. For the sake of safety, I have to leave immediately, the figure of light mused. So it was the spirit sense of a cultivator. I can understand your reaction at the time. Luo Bingli also nodded. Gu Qingshan looked at the figure of light and asked in confusion, at the point of time when I went to the demon realm, did anything happen in history? The figure of light replied, there was only one thing. All the demonic sea creatures and demons in the chaos demonic sea died, even the Lord of Total Distortion, one of the 3 demon kings, died. After that, the death continued to spread and many evil creatures of the demon realm died. But the Xieqi fiend realm remained unscathed. Do you know the reason for this? Gu Qingshan pursued. That is a matter of the demon realm, we don't pay much attention to it, so we don't know the reason, the figure of light replied. The god of frost and chill looked at Gu Qingshan and asked with concern, why do you want to know about the chaos demonic sea? Weren't you in the Xieqi fiend realm? Because when I was cultivating in the Xieqi fiend realm, the entire demon realm was discussing what happened in the chaos demonic sea. Fear and panic were spreading, so I also felt fearful. Gu Qingshan followed up on the figure of light's words and sighed. The 3 of them were surprised. Luo Bingli replied, those things aren't important, you don't need to worry about them. Gu Qingshan nodded in agreement. I'm just curious, but one of you is the consciousness body of the divine race, while the other is the leader of humanity. Why don't you know anything about the Wraith realm? Because there are too many unclear matters in the Wraith realm, the evil creatures all view us as enemies. Furthermore, a long time ago there were many secret passages leading to the eternal abyss in the Wraith realm. Going to the Wraith realm has no benefits for the divine race, the figure of light explained. This is especially true for humanity. During our tribulation, we still have to fight against the evil creatures, so who would be willing to go into the Wraith realm? Humanity is too busy with their own affairs, so they have never thought about knowing about the evil creatures, Luo Bingli replied. Gu Qingshan fell into thought. Both of them have a point. If I didn't go into the abyssal jail and didn't awaken the slumbering magic dragon, would the abyssal fate weaver have succeeded? As soon as this question popped up, Gu Qingshan was deeply attracted to it. For some reason, he felt that there was something fishy about this. The slumbering magic dragon and the abyssal fate weaver were both entities at the same level as the soul shrieker. Their actions would largely determine the fate of the world. Unfortunately, the slumbering magic dragon wasn't willing to help humanity anymore. It craved the power of the abyss. Gu Qingshan sighed and said, I want to go to the Wraith realm again. The Wraith realm is too dangerous. I don't recommend you to go there again, Luo Bingli sternly told her. It's fine, it's already been a few years since the last time I went to the Wraith realm. Everything that should have happened has already happened. Not to mention, I've already tasted the sweetness of advancing in the Wraith realm, so this time, I'll definitely be able to help the Demon King Order evolve to the Demon Tide stage, or perhaps even closer to the Demon King's descent, Gu Qingshan replied. The God of Frost and Chill replied, very well, go ahead and try your best to help the Demon King Order evolve further, then we can proceed with our transaction. I will help you obtain the Heaven Sword, but you must lend me the power of the Demon King Order, understood? We'll split up, the 2 of you will go and subdue the divine race of this era. I heard that the divine race has some materials that can help the Order evolve, Gu Qingshan said. He glanced at the God of Frost and Chill and sent his voice. Keep an eye on them, Shanu understood. What about you? Luo Bingley asked. I'll go to the Wraith Realm and think of a way to help the Demon King Order evolve, Gu Qingshan replied. The figure of light hesitated and said nothing. Don't worry, no one is stronger than I am, not to mention, he's here. The god of frost and chill pointed at the figure of light and said. Hearing the Divine King say that, and seeing that the Demon King Order was indeed evolving, the figure of light didn't say anything else. Luo Bingley hesitantly said, Then you have to be careful. From what I know, a place like the Chaos Demonic Sea is too dangerous, make sure you don't lose your life. I won't go to such a place, Gu Qingshan spoke with a serious tone. I have too many things to do. My goal is the Heaven Sword, everything else has to stand aside, Luo Bingley finally nodded. Seeing that everyone had agreed, Gu Qingshan left again. The Wraith Realm. The Xie Fiend Realm. This was a phantom image of another era, so the master of the Xie Fiend Realm was still the cruel Bone Devil King. As soon as Gu Qingshan arrived at this Wraith Realm, he noticed that something was happening in his inventory bag. The two strings of law disappeared. In front of the real Xie Fiend Realm and cruel Bone Devil Realm, they were erased by the law of time. Gu Qingshan didn't mind. He didn't even think about taking over this Wraith Realm, because he noticed that his strength had already undergone a qualitative change. He couldn't obtain enough benefits with just the power of a few Wraith Realm fragments. But if he focused all his efforts on searching for Wraith Realm fragments and fusing them together, he would draw the attention of all the powerful evil creatures. At that time, it would be a meaningless war. Compared to that, finding out the secret of the Abyssal Jail is more important. Gu Qingshan really wanted to know what happened to the Abyssal Jail after that incident. He turned into an evil creature and quickly arrived at the Chaos Demonic Sea. Standing on the beach, Gu Qingshan fully released his 3,000 Worlds Realm inner sight to scan through the entire area of the sea close to the shore. There are no demonic sea creatures? Are they really all dead? Gu Qingshan doubtfully muttered. Standing by the sea, he felt an inexplicable deep chill. Unlike the lies from before, this time it was truly a sense of danger from his spirit sense. Chao Yin, he called out. The Chao Yin sword appeared from the void of space and hovered in front of him. Let's go. Chapter 9:14. Gu Qingshan stood in the middle of the sea, reaching his hand out towards the void of space in front of him. There was clearly nothing there, but he felt a door. Indeed, this was the door to the Abyssal Jail. But Gu Qingshan didn't have the triangular key anymore. True Crimson Demon's Spear. Gu Qingshan shouted in a low voice. A spear glowing with boundless crimson light appeared in his hand. Gu Qingshan swung the spear and casually sliced through the void of space. Rocks scattered. The door was directly cut open. Gu Qingshan jumped through the door and followed the same path as last time. The same path. But unlike last time, there was no wind at all in this passage. Did Magic Dragon's presence disappear? Gu Qingshan muttered. He followed the long passage. When he felt that he was close enough, he used the true Crimson Demon's Spear to break through the wall and continued to dig upwards. As a cultivator, his memory of distance and direction was almost impeccable. Not too long later, he once again reached the safe passage he came from last time. After silently preparing for a few breaths' worth of time, Gu Qingshan took a step forward. Gotcha! Something around him seemed to have been activated as the sound of machinery could be heard. A cold and emotionless voice resounded. Frowny face, begin examination, according to his vital signs. He is confirmed to be a human civilian, a teenager. In accordance with wartime protection principles, children are permitted to enter the Abyssal Jail for temporary refuge. Please do not move, you are being transported to a safe location. The voice disappeared. A round disc appeared under Gu Qingshan's feet and carried him deeper into the darkness. Gu Qingshan was glad. I've finally grown from a child to a youth. That wasn't easy. Gu Qingshan stood on the round disc for a while, but noticed that unlike last time, the disc didn't take him to see the sleeping magic dragon's body. Gu Qingshan thought briefly and asked, "I heard that there's a magic dragon here," the round disc replied. "Magic dragon is dead." Gu Qingshan froze. "It's dead?" "No, that magic dragon was very cunning and full of schemes. How could he have been killed by a sudden incident?" Gu Qingshan asked in a deep voice, "Is Magic Dragon's corpse still there?" "Yes, please look at your feet." Gu Qingshan looked down and saw that the endless darkness was dispelled by the light, and a huge dragon head appeared in front of him. Gu Qingshan floated above the dragon's head like a firefly dancing on the boundless earth. Gu Qingshan carefully examined the magic dragon's body and found that the magic dragon seemed to be soaked in seawater. However, the seawater was misty blue-green, which blocked Gu Qingshan's vision, so he could only see the vague outline of the dragon's head. "Why is its body soaked in water?" Gu Qingshan asked. "That's not water, it's the abyssal tide from the eternal abyss, collected by human cultivators in the past for research purposes," the round disc replied. Gu Qingshan was confused. Why would Magic Dragon's body be soaked in water? During an emergency a few years ago, Magic Dragon fought against the resurrected Fate Weaver. They broke through the container used to store the abyssal tide. Magic Dragon killed the Fate Weaver again, but he also used up all his power and died inside the abyssal tide, the round disc explained. Gu Qingshan went silent for a while. He recalled the conversation he had with Magic Dragon at the time. "I need you to give me a command," Magic Dragon said. "I'm just a normal child. I'm afraid I won't be able to do that," I told him. "No, after the bygone era ended, no one has ever come here, so the AI's judgment rules have been lowered to the lowest level. The only requirement is that you have to be human," Magic Dragon explained. "Magic Dragon seems to want me to give a certain command." "Command?" Gu Qingshan asked. "I'm a human, can I give any command here?" The round disc immediately replied. "Indeed, it has been over 100 million years since a human has come here, so you will be given the highest authority in this abyssal jail. What can I do?" Gu Qingshan asked. The round disc replied. "After a long time, this abyssal jail has become extremely broken. Many commands can no longer be carried out. There are only 2 commands you can give. First, release Magic Dragon. Second, open or close the Abyssal Fate Weaver's corpse storage room." Hearing that, Gu Qingshan was a bit moved. That's right. Magic Dragon was granted the position of Lord of the Wraith Realm, allowing him to evolve once every few 100,000 years, but he still wasn't satisfied with that. What Magic Dragon wanted was freedom. He craved the power of the abyss. Gu Qingshan looked down below. Magic Dragon's corpse that was soaked in the abyssal tide was gigantic and blurry, as if it was shrouded in an invisible fog. Is he really dead? In the true history of the Age of Old, I didn't appear in this place, nor did I see Magic Dragon. In other words, no human has ever come here, and no one has released Magic Dragon. Under such circumstances, what would Magic Dragon do? Gu Qingshan pulled her gaze back. "Can you take me to see the Abyssal Fate Weaver's corpse?" Gu Qingshan asked. "You are the only human to appear in over 100 million years. Of course you can enter," the round disc replied. "I won't be in any danger, will I?" Gu Qingshan asked again. "You won't. The Abyssal Fate Weaver's soul has never been able to return to its corpse, so it wouldn't know of your arrival. Furthermore, a weak, ant-like human commoner who had just entered puberty like yourself wouldn't be able to trigger the Abyssal Fate Weaver's defensive instincts," the round disc replied. Gu Qingshan begrudgingly said, "That's quite fortunate." The round disc didn't say anything else and sped up, bringing Gu Qingshan towards a certain direction. A few dozen minutes later, the round disc brought Gu Qingshan to a large metal door. This door seemed to be a bit new. "A new door?" Gu Qingshan observed the door and asked. Indeed, when the Abyssal Fate Weaver resurrected last time, it damaged the door, so we replaced it with a backup door. Backup? Don't worry, this door is sturdier than the previous one, and when the Abyssal Fate Weaver died, its soul was once again expelled. Are you sure? I'm very sure of this. My duty was specifically designed to deal with it, the round disc continued. Don't worry, I have gathered all of the necessary energy to ensure your safety. Gu Qingshan went silent for a bit. Although it said that, with Magic Dragon as an example, Gu Qingshan still felt a bit unreliable, but the truth is right in front of me. If I can't see the truth with my own eyes, then no matter how many preparations I make later on, it would only be a final struggle. Gu Qingshan sighed and said, "Open the door." The metal door rumbled and retreated to both sides. Ahead of them was a vast expanse of darkness. The round disc brought Gu Qingshan inside. This time, the round disc's speed was a lot slower. It was becoming cautious. As Gu Qingshan was about to ask, she understood the reason. The vast darkness was filled with thick white threads, and they were spread out in all directions like a net. Attention, do not touch those white threads, they will cause you to be unable to move, and as you struggle, the threads will activate the Abyssal Fate Weaver's body and awaken its predatory instincts. It's already dead, but its body still has predatory instincts? Gu Qingshan couldn't help but ask. Indeed. I remember you saying that this place is safe. This is already very safe. You call this safe? The round disc continued to fly forward. A few moments later, the round disc slowed down. It silently descended and hovered in the void of space. Gu Qingshan saw the Abyssal Fate Weaver. Different from what Gu Qingshan had imagined, its body was only about a meter in size, a far cry from Magic Dragon's size. Looking at its lower body alone, the Abyssal Fate Weaver looked like a colorful spider. But if one looked further up, they would find that its upper body was actually that of a human female. The Abyssal Fate Weaver had a pair of slender black arms, but its body was snow-white, its facial features were alluring, and its pair of blue-green eyes were staring straight at Gu Qingshan. All the white threads in the darkness were surrounding it. It was completely still. Chapter 9:15. Gu Qingshan silently stared at the Abyssal Fate Weaver. Although this monster's soul wasn't here, Gu Qingshan could still sense unparalleled danger from this corpse. Although it had the face and upper body of a human woman, this monster didn't have the same thought process as a human. It ate souls to survive. Gu Qingshan asked, "So its corpse can't be destroyed?" "Correct. Back then, humanity used a great deal of power to drive its soul out from its body and forced it into a state of death, but they couldn't destroy its body," the round disc replied. "Not only that, we can't approach its corpse anymore, otherwise, you will fall due to not being able to endure the presence of the abyss." Fall? Gu Qingshan doubtfully asked. "Correct, your body will also fall into the abyss," the round disc replied. "What happens when I fall into the abyss? Will I gain eternal life?" Gu Qingshan smiled and asked. "That is not the case. The consequences of humanity falling into the abyss are countless. No one can predict what kind of changes will occur to you." As Gu Qingshan was about to say something, she noticed a red UI slowly unfolding in front of her. A line of blood-red text appeared at the center of the UI. "World's Apocalypse Online. Revolution has officially gone live. You may obtain a new ability, Demon Lord. Primary summoned weapon type A. In consideration of your identity as the Envoy of Condemnation, the exchangeable Demon Lord weapons have been converted into a secondary card. Demon Lord Weapon Deck." 2 decks of cards appeared on the blood-red UI. The first was a Lapis deck, Condemnation, Fugitive deck. The second was a Jet Black deck, Demon Lord Weapon Deck. Before Gu Qingshan could even look at the Demon Lord Weapon Deck, Origin No Revolutionist voice sounded frowny face. "Your Excellency, Envoy of Condemnation, why have you come to the Abyssal Jail? This place is extremely dangerous. I suggest that you leave immediately." Gu Qingshan smiled bitterly and replied, I'm afraid you still don't understand the situation. What situation? A revolution, asked. The Abyssal Magic Dragon, Soul Shrieker and Abyssal Fate Weaver have remained in the Primordial Heaven Realm and Primordial Wraith Realm. I refuse to believe that they only stayed here for fun. Sir, what do you mean? Revolution asked. The Soul Shrieker deceived humanity, forcing them to help it forge the abyssal weapons, the twin swords Heaven and Earth. In order to escape the control of humans, the slumbering magic dragon has already thrown himself into the embrace of the abyss. Do you see these spider webs? Gu Qingshan sighed a bit emotionally. Even now, I still don't know where the Abyssal Fate Weaver went or what she's doing. If I don't figure out the situation, I won't even know how I died. In the darkness, World's Apocalypse Online, Revolution remained silent. It seemed to be thinking about something. Gu Qingshan shook her head and reached out to touch the Demon God weapon deck on the UI. A line of blood-red words immediately appeared on the interface. Drawing a beginner weapon card requires 100,000 soul points. Gu Qingshan looked at her soul point. Because of the evolution quest as a foundation, Originous Evolution to Revolution, only took 1 million soul points, so Guam Qingshan still had 8 million soul points left as a foundation. Without hesitation, he spent 100,000 soul points to draw a Demon God weapon card from the void of space. A jet black card was held between 2 fingers in front of his eyes. The card depicted a fully armored black skeleton. Beginner Demon God weapon, Blackbone Warrior. This weapon was created by piecing together the hardest parts of the bones of various mystical creatures. Although its fighting strength is halved, its defensive capabilities are top tier among beginner weapons, suitable for use as a defensive weapon in battle. Without hesitation, Gu Qingshan threw the jet black card forward. Bam! A black skeleton wearing armor appeared in front of Gu Qingshan. Its eyes were burning with black flames. Its body was roughly the same size as the Abyssal Fate Weaver, about 3 to 5 meters tall, holding a shield and a battle axe in its hands. Go, try to cut the thread, Gu Qingshan ordered. The Blackbone Warrior moved. It strode to the side of the white thread that was as thick as a millstone, raised its battle axe high, and fiercely chopped down. The blade of the battle axe was stuck on the white thread. The white thread began to tremble unnoticeably. The thread began to tremble. This trembling came from afar until it reached the Abyssal Fate Weaver's feet. The Abyssal Fate Weaver didn't move. Gu Qingshan was surprised. Didn't you say that its corpse still has predatory instincts? The round disc didn't answer. A second later, a long spike appeared out of nowhere and stabbed into the Blackbone Warrior's body. The Blackbone Warrior couldn't move at all. Following that, 2 giant black hands appeared from the void of space, caught the Blackbone Warrior, and lightly squeezed. The 3-meter-tall Blackbone Warrior, along with its battle axe and shield, was crushed into a piece of black bone about the size of a dice. The Abyssal Fate Weaver's female face showed a bit of emotion. She looked at where the Blackbone Warrior was and opened her small mouth. The piece of black bone flew straight into her mouth. The Abyssal Fate Weaver began to chew. The sound of bone breaking came from her mouth. In just a second, the Abyssal Fate Weaver had finished eating the piece of bone and returned to silence. Gu Qingshan was stunned. He looked at the Abyssal Fate Weaver, then at the spike and giant black hands that appeared out of nowhere. The long spike and the dark giant hand slowly dissipated, turning into a dense mist of nothingness that lingered on every single white thread. This mist spread in all directions from the white thread. Even Gu Qingshan's body was surrounded by this mist. Gu Qingshan took out a handkerchief and wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. In other words, because I'm too weak to be considered food, the mist around me didn't attack me? He couldn't help but ask. The round disc replied, That is the main reason. Furthermore, you didn't touch its thread, otherwise it wouldn't mind keeping you trapped on it until you die feeling a deep sense of helplessness. Gu Qingshan shook his head and sighed. and this is under the condition that it's dead. At this point, even the Demon Lord weapons would be nothing but a snack for it. Once the soul of such an abyssal monster returns, who would be able to stop it? When both sides were evenly matched, he was confident that he could win. When the difference in strength between both sides wasn't too great, he wouldn't give up on a chance to win. But against such a terrifying abyssal monster, nothing Gu Qingshan could think of would work. Indeed, a mere avatar of the Soul Shrieker was able to break through the entire 900 million world layers and destroy both the World Alliance and the Spire Keepers. And the one standing in front of Gu Qingshan was the main body of the Abyssal Fate Weaver. In the face of absolute power, all schemes were laughable and useless. "Do I have to think of a way to escape?" Gu Qingshan muttered. At this point, the Demon King Order, who had been silent for so long, suddenly spoke up. "Well, Sir Envoy of Condemnation, with our current strength, we cannot win against such a powerful enemy." "That's obvious," Gu Qingshan replied. "That's why we need Magic Dragon's body," the Demon King Order said. Gu Qingshan was surprised. The Order's words contained another layer of meaning, so how could Gu Qingshan not understand? The Demon King Order paused for a bit before continuing. "Besides Magic Dragon's body, you also need to evolve me into the Demon King Ascension stage." "Demon King Ascension? You mean, I need to evolve you into your final form?" Gu Qingshan asked. The Demon King Order didn't answer and instead continued with its own words. "Your Excellency, you must now realize your mistake." Chapter 9:16. In the darkness, Gu Qingshan stood on top of the round disc, facing the Abyssal Fate Weaver's corpse. He had already seen the tip of the iceberg of the other party's strength. Just by looking at the unresponsive corpse, Gu Qingshan was certain that he couldn't win against it. "Am I really going to become the Demon King?" Gu Qingshan sighed and asked the Revolution UI in the void of space. "Even if you evolve to the Demon King Ascension stage, would I be able to defeat the abyssal monster?" "That's not realistic." Worlds Apocalypse Online, Revolution replied. "After obtaining your information, I have examined the current world environment and confirmed one thing. Among the weapons belonging to humanity, only 2 weapons have the power to fight against the abyssal monster." "Which 2?" Gu Qingshan hurriedly asked. 6 Paths of Reincarnation, Sleeping Demon Dragon. Gu Qingshan recalled how the Divine King was killed by the Soul Shrieker and replied, "The Samsara has already been destroyed, and the abyssal monsters are very cautious about this. They must be monitoring the situation of the Samsara fragments." Revolution replied. "Indeed, that's why I must evolve to the Demon King Ascension stage. At that level of evolution, I will be able to turn the sleeping Magic Dragon's corpse into a Demon Lord weapon." Gu Qingshan recalled Magic Dragon's expression of longing for the abyss and said, "The sleeping Magic Dragon doesn't seem to be loyal to humanity anymore, and he might not necessarily be a match for the Abyssal Fate Weaver." Revolution continued. "But he might be able to stop the Abyssal Fate Weaver to a certain degree, giving your Excellency a chance of survival." Revolution concluded. "That's why, please obtain the sleeping Magic Dragon's corpse." Gu Qingshan smiled bitterly. "Don't be ridiculous, that's almost impossible. The sleeping Magic Dragon is a cunning and shrewd fellow. He already had his own thoughts. He would never sacrifice his own life to fight against the Abyssal Fate Weaver. So he must still be alive. Is there no other way?" Gu Qingshan asked. "There is," Revolution replied. "Then we first need to obtain Magic Dragon's corpse." Gu Qingshan muttered and fell into deep thought. The sleeping Magic Dragon was so huge that its power was enough to contend against the abyssal monsters. "From what I know, the Abyssal Fate Weaver has caused a lot of casualties to humanity. The human race was helpless against it. They tried their best to banish its soul and force it into a state of death. Then, as the weapon that guarded the Abyssal Fate Weaver's corpse, the slumbering Magic Dragon's strength must also be extraordinary. This was the case even in the bygone era. Did the human race not have a way to restrain such a weapon? There should be. Gu Qingshan thought about it again. From a human's point of view, any weapon that was out of control would cause great panic. So, there should be a way to restrain Magic Dragon. Gu Qingshan stopped communicating with Revolution. Instead, she squatted down and patted the disc. The circular disc spoke. Hello, young man. If you don't have any other orders, should we return the way we came? Don't rush. I have 2 questions for you. Please go ahead. The first question, what is the most prominent ability of the Abyssal Fate Weaver? Fate ability. Existence. What is existence? When it wants to become a certain entity, it only needs to say it, and another entity will appear in the world. Over 100 million years ago, it used this method to invade human civilization. Can you give me an example? For example, humanity's leadership originally consisted of 7 people, but the Abyssal Fate Weaver said that humanity's leadership consisted of 8 people. In that case, the number of human leaders would be reduced from 7 to 8. The entire process would be completely reasonable, and no one would suspect anything fishy about it. It would become the extra person? Correct. Thinking about that, Gu Qingshan felt chills running down his spine. This ability was too eerie. Combined with the Abyssal Fate Weaver's terrifying strength, it would be impossible to defend against. Is there no way to expose it? He couldn't help but ask. There is a way. Someone would have to travel through space-time to clearly see the changes in the timeline. Only then would they be able to discover what happened in Fate and find out who the Abyssal Fate Weaver is. Gu Qingshan was a bit speechless. No matter how powerful the bygone-era humans were, how many of them could achieve something like that? They only needed to activate the 3 coins to reverse the flow of time to break through the limits of this world and draw the attention of terrifying monsters. From this, the Abyssal Fate Weaver is basically an unsolvable entity. Gu Qingshan regained his composure and continued to ask. The second question, when humanity constructed this abyssal jail, did they leave any means to restrain the slumbering magic dragon? The round disc immediately answered. The more powerful a weapon is, the more it cannot go out of control. Humanity naturally has a way to destroy a weapon that goes out of control, but this is a core secret of the abyssal jail. You must once again prove your identity as a human in order to obtain this secret. Would you like to obtain this secret? I need this information. Please follow me. Saying so, the round disc took Gu Qingshan back. As they flew out of the metal gate, Gu Qingshan hurriedly had the round disc close the gate again. At this point in time, he couldn't afford to make even the slightest mistake. The Abyssal Fate Weaver left a deep impression on Gu Qingshan, allowing him to transcend space-time and experience the pain and helplessness of the bygone-era humanity. The round disc took Gu Qingshan all the way up into the darkness, all the way until they reached a dark sky with barely any stars. You will now be scanned from all angles. A circular ring of light appeared below Gu Qingshan's feet, slowly rising above his head. A few moments later, the ring of light disappeared. An electronic voice resounded. Frowny face, your identity has been confirmed. Although your body is extremely weak due to malnutrition, lack of exercise, and overuse of your brain for a long period of time, you are still a genuine human, Gu Qingshan replied. You don't have to say the middle part. A humanity has already disappeared for a very long time, and you are the only human youth to appear in this world, so I will report to you the method to destroy the sleeping magic dragon. Please prepare 12 attack-type soul armaments and insert them into the prison's command center. The command center will use these 12 attack-type soul armaments to directly trigger the curse of instant death within the slumbering demon dragon's soul, instantly killing it. Gu Qingshan asked. Where is the command center? Look up, you can see the command center. Gu Qingshan looked up as instructed and saw the faint starlight in the sky. So this is the command center. Do you have any offensive soul artifacts here? He asked again. I don't, in other words, I need to bring 12 soul artifacts to activate the command to destroy Magic Dragon's soul? Oh no, Magic Dragon is already dead, you don't need to kill him again. If I insist on doing this, will I still be able to activate the instant death curse? If Magic Dragon's soul still exists, then it would indeed be possible. Gu Qingshan nodded and didn't ask any further. -12 offensive soul artifacts. What the hell, it's already been over 100 million years. Where am I supposed to find 12 offensive soul artifacts from the bygone era? At this point, the disk's voice came again. Frowny face, you seem to be suspicious of Magic Dragon's death. Would you like me to check Magic Dragon's body again? Gu Qingshan immediately replied. No, I don't doubt that at all, you don't need to check it again. Although I don't know how the sleeping Magic Dragon managed to fool the jail's command center, it's already playing dead. If I let the command center check it again, Magic Dragon will immediately know that something has changed. At that time, I'll have no choice but to escape from this phantom image again. Escaping from the phantom image twice in a row would definitely draw the suspicion of the figure of light and Luo Bingley. This isn't a good time to do it. The emotionless metallic voice came again. Frowny face then, do you have any other requests? Gu Qingshan replied. Please send me away from this place, if possible, please put me in the Xie Fiend realm. Understood. A screen of light enveloped Gu Qingshan's body. He quickly vanished from the abyssal jail. When he reappeared, he was already in the Xie Fiend realm. At this point, Gu Qingshan only had the appearance of a normal demon, so even though he appeared out of nowhere, he didn't draw the attention of the other demons. There were too many teleportation spells and techniques, so the evil creatures were already used to it. Gu Qingshan stood on the street and was about to find a place to rest and organize his thoughts when he noticed that all the evil creatures on the street were running towards a certain direction. Although he didn't want to care about the Xie Fiend realm, out of the need to gather intelligence, he still grabbed one of the evil creatures and asked, "What happened?" The evil creature was a bit annoyed at being grabbed by someone, but before he could do anything, several cold swords had already stuck to his body. The evil creature froze, then immediately displayed a flattering smile. "Sir, 2 cruel bone devil kings are fighting, this is quite a rare sight, so everyone is rushing over to join in on the fun." Gu Qingshan couldn't help but ask, 2 cruel bone devil kings? They're fighting again? The evil creature smiled flatteringly. That's right, I won't lie to you, sir, those 2 brothers are the true rulers of the Xie Fiend realm. The Xie Fiend king is nothing but a puppet. A huge shadow loomed over Gu Qingshan's mind. That can't be right. There has always only been a single cruel bone devil king. In the other phantom images, I once managed the Xie Fiend realm and fused it with the cruel bone devil realm. Even now, I still clearly remember that there was only a single devil king in the cruel bone devil realm. Gu Qingshan tried her best to remain calm and asked, "Since when did the cruel bone devil realm have 2 devil kings?" "They are brothers, they've always ruled the cruel bone devil realm together," the evil creature answered matter-of-factly. Almost uncontrollably, Gu Qingshan quickly recalled the Abyssal Fate Weaver's ability. A fate ability. It exists. Gu Qingshan's heart slowly sank. Chapter 9:17. Gu Qingshan let go of the evil creature and let it leave. Omega Delta. Omega. He followed the direction of the evil creatures and arrived in front of the Xie Fiend King's castle. This place was already packed to the brim. 2 cruel bone devil kings with similar appearances were fighting in the sky, displaying the power of an evil ruler. Gu Qingshan stood in the middle of the group of evil creatures, looking up just like all the other evil creatures, watching the battle between the 2 devil kings. 2 cruel bone devil kings. There really were 2. While Gu Qingshan was thinking, a voice resounded in his mind. "Found you." This was Luo Bingley's voice. Gu Qingshan abruptly turned around. S3. At a very far distance from where he was, a figure covered in a hooded robe was staring at him. Why are you here? Gu Qingshan asked. I'm worried that something might have happened to you, Luo Bingli replied. Saying so, she walked over and stood next to Gu Qingshan. The robe she was wearing was quite miraculous, completely concealing her human presence. Since the evil creatures were all focused on the battle between the two devil kings, none of them managed to discover her identity. Don't worry, the evil creatures here won't be able to discover my true identity, Gu Qingshan told her. Luo Bingli sighed. Why don't you worry? You're the first person to go against the flow of time from the future in over 10,000 years. If something happened to you, all of our preparations would have been for naught. Gu Qingshan's pupils slightly moved. He glanced at her without anyone noticing, then turned to the two cruel bone devil kings in the sky. I've been here many times before, so I know what I need to pay attention to. Don't worry. Luo Bingli also looked up, attracted by the battle between the two cruel bone devil kings. Are these two devil kings fighting over the Wraith World fragment? She asked. I'm not sure, I've been cultivating this entire time, only came out when I heard the commotion, Gu Qingshan replied. Are they twins? She asked again. Who cares about them? You need to understand one thing, demons are full of lies and tricks. If you care about what they do, you won't be able to focus on your own matters, Gu Qingshan told him. That's why you don't care about the troubles of the outside world, Luo Bingli said thoughtfully. That's right, I need to quickly evolve the order. Then have the divine race help me get the heaven sword, Gu Qingshan very seriously said. Neither of them spoke for a while. In the sky, the battle between the two cruel bone devil kings was becoming more and more intense. After a long while, Luo Bingli spoke again. Actually, my jade disc has already been completed. We can simply leave the figure of light behind and head to the other world that humanity prepared. From there, you will be able to directly travel to the true history, to the final moments of humanity, but the figure of light would definitely have a way to follow me. Both it and the golden flame divinity were able to follow me before. I can't take that risk, Gu Qingshan replied. Are you afraid of them? Luo Bingli tilted her head and asked. Of course, the figure of light is at the peak of Paragon Realm. He can even summon countless divinities. He can kill me at any time. Gu Qingshan replied. Don't be afraid of him. If anything happens, I can still stop him for a bit. Luo Bingli stared closely at Gu Qingshan and spoke with determination. Gu Qingshan shook her head. That's even worse, we can't win against him. If he tries to cause trouble while we're trying to get the heaven sword and something goes wrong, causing us to fail, then everything will be over, he emphasized his tone. All of our preparations are for the sake of successfully taking the heaven sword. Humanity has already waited for so many years. Why would we care about this bit of time? Luo Bingli stayed silent for a while, then nodded. Very well, as expected of someone who returned from the future, being able to patiently prepare so much. I can rest assured, she said. Gu Qingshan didn't say anything. Luo Bingli asked again. At that time, are you really going to give the Demon King Order's power to the figure of light? No, Gu Qingshan immediately denied it. If the Demon King Order's power is given to the divinities, they will completely escape from this era and head to the future 10,000 years later. At that time, the future world will once again be under their rule. You won't give it to the figure of light? But the 3 coins are in the figure of light's hands. What do you intend to do? Luo Bingli asked. Gu Qingshan replied. As long as I don't give the Demon King Order its power, that won't happen. Luo Bingli thought for a bit and nodded again. Gu Qingshan wasn't wrong at all. Even if the divinities have the 3 coins and 2 of their powers, as long as Gu Qingshan doesn't give the Demon King Order its power, that won't happen. Alright, seeing that you understand everything, I can rest assured. Just stay here and cultivate. Becoming stronger is always a good thing, Luo Bingli said. S3. I know, Gu Qingshan smiled bitterly and replied. In front of the slumbering magic dragon, the soul shrieker and the abyssal fate weaver, unless I have a few hundred years of cultivation, I won't be enough. Luo Bingli nodded and turned to leave. She probably has some other way to directly leave this place. Gu Qingshan stood still and watched the two Devil Kings fight for a while longer. His mind was in chaos, countless thoughts were running through his mind, causing a layer of cold sweat to form on his back. It wasn't until the two cruel bone Devil Kings had determined a winner and the battle was over that Gu Qingshan left with the other evil creatures. Randomly walking into a bar, Gu Qingshan ordered a bottle of liquor and slowly drank it. The bar was filled with normal evil creatures. None of them were particularly powerful, but the owner of the bar was a powerful evil creature, so the bar was very quiet without much noise. While drinking, Gu Qingshan began to think. The two cruel bone Devil Kings appeared too coincidentally. There are a lot of coincidences in this world, but this one couldn't possibly be a coincidence at all. That's why when Luo Bingli asked me, I avoided her question. But now, Gu Qingshan doesn't trust anyone at all. Luo Bingli specifically came here to tell me a few things. On the bright side, Luo Bingli was worried about me, worried about the future of humanity. But from a different perspective, there's a different interpretation. She's trying to see if I'm still in the Xieqi Fiend realm. She's trying to see if I know about the Abyssal Fate Weaver. She's trying to see if I'll use the 3 coins to escape. She's trying to prove something. If I know about the Fate Weaver's abilities, then she can use this opportunity to prove that I'm not the Fate Weaver, because she appeared at the same time as the cruel bone Devil King. Then, is Luo Bingli a friend or foe? Gu Qingshan took a sip of liquor, but didn't have an answer. He thought of another problem. The way to kill Magic Dragon. Truthfully, the best solution right now is to return to the primordial heaven realm and take a look at the Divine King's inheritance vault. Only the 12 offensive soul artifacts can activate the Abyssal Jail's command and kill Magic Dragon's soul. Gu Qingshan took a sip of liquor as his thoughts turned. I definitely can't use the divinities that are still alive for this. Whether it's the 12 divinities acting together or being captured at the same time, it'll cause a huge commotion. If such a huge commotion occurs, regardless of whether it's the Fate Weaver or Magic Dragon, it'll lead to an irreversible situation. That's why I need to return to the Divine King's inheritance vault to find another way. But I can't go there right now. I just said I wanted to come to the Wraith Realm, then went back on my words and returned to the Heaven Realm. This will definitely arouse suspicion. Gu Qingshan sighed as the hesitation in his heart grew stronger. What am I still doing here? His gaze fell onto the World's Apocalypse Online, Revolution UI. As the Demon King Order continues to evolve, I'm getting closer and closer to that final moment. The Heaven Sword. S3. The Heaven Sword was waiting for me at the end of time. Surrounding the Heaven Sword and the phantom images, various terrifying entities had laid down their pawns and weaved a long string, waiting for humanity's hiding place to be exposed at the very last moment. This is very clear. The bygone-era humans have already left, so there's no one left to fight against these terrifying entities. The beings of the Heaven Realm and Wraith Realm are nothing more than ants to them. They could easily destroy the entire world of humanity and evil creatures. But they didn't do that. Why? Gu Qingshan drank mouthful after mouthful of the strong liquor, letting the bitter and spicy taste spread in his mouth. The only answer is that they're waiting for a certain thing. The twin swords heaven and earth forged by humanity. And only these 2 weapons of the eternal abyss are worth their weight. At the very last moment of humanity's destruction, humanity hid the twin swords heaven and earth away. They can't find them. And I, a cultivator from the future, am the key to that final moment. Gu Qingshan shook his head and drank the entire glass of liquor. He felt like he was walking on the path of certain death. At this point, I can't be impatient, I have to plan first before acting. But to save the Earth Sword, I can't wait a single second longer. If the time delay technique on the Earth Sword disappears, Gu Qingshan gave up on the glass, raised the bottle, and gulped down a mouthful of liquor. The liquor brewed by the evil creatures was much stronger, like a small knife that was constantly cutting Gu Qingshan's throat and stomach. But compared to the predicament they were facing now, this liquor was nothing. Gu Qingshan drank the entire bottle in one go and made his decision. You need to evolve again. He looked at the bloodline UI in front of him and said. Saying this meant that he was one step closer to the heavenly sword. And one step closer to danger. Lines of text appeared on the bloodline UI frowny face next evolution form. Demon C, according to the rules of evolution, you've already chosen rapid evolution mode, so many of the order's functions will not be unlocked. Before the order enters its next evolution, you must complete a corresponding quest. This is a necessary procedure, Gu Qingshan said. Issue the quest, understood, preparing the quest. All the lines of text vanished. A new quest appeared on the UI. Chapter 9:18. Lines of quest text appeared on the blood-red UI frowny face quest description. Considering the current situation, we need Magic Dragon's Body, quest objective. Obtain Magic Dragon's Body, quest reward. The order has completed the necessary process, beginning to evolve to the next stage. Gu Qingshan stared at the blood-red UI without moving. A few moments later, he clapped his hand. What do you want? A bartender came and asked. The strongest liquor you have here, Gu Qingshan replied. Wait a moment. A small glass was placed in front of Gu Qingshan. Inside it was a small flower carved from ice crystals. The bartender explained. This is the flower of evil spirits, our bar's signature drink. You can only drink a single glass of this liquor. If you drink too much, you'll enter a berserk state. You'll need to kill at least 200 people to get rid of the drunkenness. Gu Qingshan picked up the glass and put the small flower of ice into his mouth. The extremely cold frost instantly turned into a boiling, flame-like liquid. The taste buds went from one extreme to the other, giving him an indescribable sense of pleasure. Nice liquor. Here's your tip. Gu Qingshan left a few Blood Soul magic diamonds on the table and quickly left the bar. He headed towards the devil's shop that was responsible for teleportation. Since Luo Bingli has already left, I can't return to the heaven realm right now. Then I'll go to the abyssal jail again. It took a bit of effort. Gu Qingshan once again arrived at the deep and vast darkness. He raised his head and looked at the dimly lit sky above him. I have a question, he said. Following his voice, the cold mechanical voice spoke up again. Frowny face, the only human young man in over 100 million years. You may ask, I want to know, in the distant past, did humanity ever create soul artifacts or similar items in the abyssal jail? The voice went silent for a bit, then answered. This place is used to watch over the eternal abyss monsters. Staying here is extremely dull and boring. Some people used to create a few soul artifacts to pass the time. Are there any blueprints or anything like that? No, those are their own interests and have nothing to do with the functions of this detention center. The command system will not record their private lives. One last question. To kill Magic Dragon's soul, I need 12 attack-type soul armaments. Is there a requirement for the strength of the soul armaments? No, the 12 attack-type soul armaments are only used to issue commands. Alright, I understand. Gu Qingshan stood under the dark sky and thought for a long time. Please take me to where the Abyssal Fate Weaver is being held, as you wish. The circular disc brought Gu Qingshan back down and flew towards the depths of the darkness. After a long time, Gu Qingshan once again arrived in front of the huge metal door. The metal door suddenly opened to both sides. The disc continued to fly forward. It carefully avoided the thick white threads and brought Gu Qingshan all the way to the innermost part of the prison. At the center of the countless white threads, a woman with a colorful spider body, snow-white upper body and jet-black arms once again appeared in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes. She still stood motionless in the same place. Gu Qingshan tapped her inventory bag and took out the jade pendant. Adorable. The jade gourd pendant circled around the abyssal fate weaver a few times with interest. It returned in front of Gu Qingshan and doubtfully asked, "Xiao? What is it?" "A small test, to prepare for the future war," Gu Qingshan curtly replied. Hearing that, the gourd became a lot more serious and landed on Gu Qingshan's shoulder, silently waiting for Gu Qingshan's next move. At this point, Gu Qingshan began to draw cards. 100,000 soul points, 1 Demon Lord primary weapon card. 100,000 soul points, 1 Demon Lord primary weapon card. 100,000 soul points, 1 Demon Lord primary weapon card. That should be enough, Gu Qingshan muttered and threw the 3 black cards out. Bam! 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 With 3 sounds, 3 gigantic weapons of war appeared in front of Gu Qingshan. A black skeleton soldier, a metal skeleton, and a rock giant. It's unknown what kind of corpses these monsters were pieced together from, but their size and presence clearly showed that they would play an important role in the war. Your targets are the white threads around us. Attack at will, go, Gu Qingshan ordered. The 3 primary Demon Lord weapons turned around and slashed at the white threads closest to them. The white threads silently trembled. Black fog filled the air. As soon as the spike appeared, it pierced through the 3 Demon Lords' bodies at an unstoppable speed. 3 gigantic bodies collapsed with a loud rumble. As the rock giant collapsed, it triggered several threads, causing a series of black hands to manifest from the void of space. Gu Qingshan counted. Because there were 3 Demon Lord weapons this time, there were a total of 6 black hands. But the rock giant managed to trigger several threads, causing a total of 10 black hands to manifest. The black hands grabbed the 3 Demon Lord weapons, made sure that they couldn't escape, then began to slowly knead them. Under their kneading, the 3 Demon Lord weapons were turned into 3 chunks the size of candies. The abyssal fate weaver's expression changed. The red lips on her pale face slightly opened. The 3 Demon Lords were sucked into her mouth, lightly chewed a few times, then swallowed. Gu Qingshan silently watched until everything was over. "That's enough, please send us out," he said to the round disc. The round disc took him all the way back. Before leaving the prison, Gu Qingshan didn't forget to have the round disc close the 2 metal doors. He took the gourd adorable with him, and flew back to the dark sky. "Are there any issues?" Gu Qingshan asked. The jade gourd pendant scoffed. "Xiao, xiao, xiao. Don't look down on me." "Then is it yours or mine?" Gu Qingshan asked again. "Xiao, xiao? Does it matter?" "That's a very important question," Gu Qingshan replied. "Xiao, xiao, 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 xiao. I can use the skill for you, or you can choose to use it yourself." "Then I'll do it," Gu Qingshan said. "Xiao, xiao, xiao, all right, here you go." Following Adorable's words, blood-red lines of text appeared in front of Gu Qingshan. "Frowny face 100 lanterns has been activated. You've obtained a unique skill, abyssal skill. 1,000 hands of the spider." A description. The power of the abyss manifests in each of your hands. You can use these hands to explore your environment, fight, and prey on your enemies. Gu Qingshan instantly felt an unprecedented power surpassing the limits of space and time, coming from an unknown and faraway place to gather on her body. So this is the power of the abyss? Gu Qingshan silently thought and unleashed this power. In an instant, under the dim illumination of the stars, countless giant black hands filled this entire space. They remained motionless in their original spots. Gu Qingshan felt a strange sensation in his heart. As if I can control all of the giant black hands at once. This sensation was similar to controlling a flying sword. Although there was a huge difference, there were still similarities. Disperse, he released his will towards all the black hands. All of the black palms scattered and disappeared into the darkness, flying in all directions. Although these black hands had scattered, new ones kept appearing from the void of space. Gu Qingshan had no choice but to disperse these black hands in batches. As soon as each batch of black hands appeared, he would quickly disperse them to different locations. As time passed, the black hands had covered almost every corner of the abyssal jail, except where Magic Dragon was. At this point, Gu Qingshan did something. He controlled all the black hands to touch every structure and item in the abyssal jail. Every room, every corner, every item. None of them could escape from the black hands. A split second later, War God skills abruptly lit up in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes. Simple betting, this item does not have any skills. A gray chair, this item does not have any skills. A long-shaped dining table, this item does not have any skills. Round pendant, this item does not have any skills. Hand sink, this item does not have any skills. Long lines of notifications kept flashing in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes. He stood still and coldly stared at all the notifications that were flashing in front of his eyes. Until the very last moment, Gu Qingshan abruptly shouted, "Stop!" The notifications on War God skills, "Stop." A paragraph of explanation formed by small glowing words stopped in front of him, and his eyes shone with a warm light. Soul Carving Blade Set, completely damaged. This item has used the following skills. First, Chaotic Elemental Bombardment Plate Creation Method. This is a simple way to create a defensive soul armament. The second, Void Slasher Creation Method. This is a simple offensive soul artifact creation method. A description. Soul artifact creation is a unique ability of humanity. Chapter 9:19. Reading the lines of glowing text that appeared on the War God skills icon, Gu Qingshan felt a bit strange. Because these notifications didn't show the soul points required to comprehend the skills. Can I learn these skills? He tried asking. A few more lines of glowing text appeared on the War God skills icon to explain the situation. Frowny face. Soul artifact crafting is a unique skill of humanity, so you can comprehend the above skills. However, there is a prerequisite. War God skills has been upgraded once, currently displaying the corresponding skills to you. If you want to learn the skills of the bygone era humans, War God skills will need to be upgraded again. Reading this description, Gu Qingshan suddenly recalled the conversation he had with the War God UI. After you've upgraded War God skills, the next time you want to upgrade it, you will be able to comprehend the power of humanity from the bygone era, from the desolate monsters. Next time I need to upgrade it? How do I upgrade it? Thank you for 20 soul points. First of all, I can indeed upgrade it again. Secondly, as for the soul points required to upgrade War God skills, the next upgrade will cost about 3 million soul points. 3 million soul points. Gu Qingshan looked at his remaining soul points. I still have about 8 million left. That's enough. Not to mention, this is a necessary amount of soul points. Upgrade it now, Gu Qingshan said. He could only watch helplessly as his soul points shrunk to less than 5 million. The War God skills icon with a golden dagger on it suddenly lit up. It gave off a blinding golden glow. Not too long later, the golden dagger on the icon grew a bit longer. A notification appeared next to the icon, explaining, "I desire to grow longer." Gu Qingshan looked at the icon, then at the text, a bit speechless. The previous upgrade. The icon moved a bit. This time, the golden dagger on the icon grew a bit longer. For an icon, this change can be considered quite obvious. I noticed that aside from being able to move, you've also grown longer. Do you have any new abilities? Gu Qingshan asked. A new notification popped up next to War God skills. Frowny face, you need to continue helping me level up. Once the golden dagger on the icon has grown to a full length, the War God UI will activate a new ability. The new ability will only appear when the War God UI exists. Gu Qingshan was startled. Yes, he remembered. Below the War God UI, besides the War God skills, a war god title, a war god quest, as well as the currently changing Doomsday Chronicles. There were many other options that weren't opened. But right now, the war god UI wasn't with Gu Qingshan. Therefore, there was no way to talk about new abilities. Gu Qingshan kept this matter in mind. At this time, lines of glowing text appeared in the void. To comprehend the defensive soul artifact, chaotic elemental bombardment plates creation method, it will cost 10 million soul points. As you are a human, the cost has been reduced to 100,000 soul points. For to comprehend the offensive soul artifact, Void Cutter's creation method, it will cost 20 million soul points. As you are a human, the cost has been reduced to 200,000 soul points. Gu Qingshan was a bit surprised. This prompt explained a problem. Humans weren't the only ones who could create and use soul artifact. But as humans, they had an unparalleled advantage when it came to creating soul artifact. Wait a minute, could the twin swords Heaven and Earth also be a type of soul artifact? Gu Qingshan began to recall the Earth sword's functions. When he met that monster in the giant corpse's sealed space, the Earth sword took all of his soul points and killed that monster in one strike. Using soul points was a prominent characteristic of soul artifact. Back in Trist's collection world, the Fiendess and all the Tianma instantly changed their attitudes for the sake of a single soul artifact. And humans had a huge advantage when it came to creating soul artifact. In other words, the twin swords Heaven and Earth, could they also be soul artifacts? Gu Qingshan fell into thought. If the twin swords Heaven and Earth were extremely powerful abyssal soul artifacts, then the Soul Shrieker's actions made perfect sense. With a war god skills, S standard, even a normal offensive soul artifact would require 20 million soul points to comprehend its creation method. Humans only need 200,000 soul points to comprehend it. Then, the forging of the twin swords Heaven and Earth must have been incredibly difficult, so much so that even the terrifying abyssal monsters couldn't help but look for humans to do it for them. Combined with what the old man said inside the Grand Tai Wei city wall, this might very well be the truth. Gu Qingshan suddenly understood. Finally understood. He stared at the glowing notification in front of him and sighed deeply. Comprehend it, I need to comprehend both offensive and defensive soul artifacts, he said. From the void of space, countless warm currents manifested out of nowhere, surrounded Gu Qingshan like a hot spring, then flowed into his thought sea. This was a completely uncharted territory. As a human in both lives, Gu Qingshan had never thought that something as ingenious as this could exist in this world. Various new knowledge and methods of construction that he'd never seen before appeared one after another in his mind. Soul artifacts were powerful items created from the combination of world origin power and living beings' soul points, possessing miraculous power far beyond normal items. All the warm currents disappeared. The last two lines of glowing text flickered. Frowny face, you've learned how to create the chaotic elemental bombardment plate. You've learned how to create the void cutter. Under the faint light of the dark sky, Gu Qingshan closed his eyes, still immersed in absorbing this new knowledge. Using soul points to carve objects, interesting, Gu Qingshan muttered to himself. He opened his eyes, looked up at the dark sky, and asked, I want to know if there's a place in the abyssal jail specifically for crafting soul artifacts, the round disc replied. There is, the command department has a specialized workstation, please take me there. Got it, the round disc brought Gu Qingshan towards another direction. After flying for about half an hour, they arrived at an empty terrace. As Gu Qingshan took a look, he found that this was where he found the soul carving knife. The damaged soul carving knife silently laid on top of a large square workstation, with various materials piled up around it. If you wish to craft a soul artifact, the command center can provide you with another soul carving knife, but please note, this is the last soul carving knife in good condition. In other words, I can't break it, correct? Soul carving knives are the primary tool for crafting soul artifacts. Due to the rarity of the materials used, The command center cannot repair a damaged soul-carving knife, I understand, Gu Qingshan replied. The large workstation opened up on both sides. A soul-carving knife hovering in the void of space appeared in front of Gu Qingshan. The reason why it was still intact after so many years was because it was sealed inside a static space. Gu Qingshan looked at the soul-carving knife and couldn't help but shake his head. He couldn't believe that humans were able to craft artifacts to such an extent in the age of old. The soul-carving knife looked like a mechanical arm full of thin, long tentacles. Among the densely packed tentacles, some were made of steel, some were made of flesh and blood, some were soft tubes made of unknown materials, some were sharp carving knives, some were curved rays of light, some were completely made of the 5 elements, and some were made of unknown materials. Gu Qingshan counted. There were a total of 967 tentacles on the mechanical arm. Not a single one of them was made of the same material. This was an extremely intricate instrument, delicate and hard to control. When crafting a soul artifact, only experienced and skilled soul artificers would be able to smoothly control the soul carving knife to create a soul artifact that was almost like a work of art. Those soul artificers who weren't skilled enough could easily ruin all of the materials they were crafting, or even damage the soul carving knife. Gu Qingshan was a bit anxious. This was the last soul carving knife in good condition, as well as the only hope to kill Magic Dragon. He went through the soul artifact crafting method he obtained several times, then prepared all of the materials on the workbench. Only after everything was confirmed did he reach his hand out to touch the soul carving knife. As soon as his finger touched the soul carving knife, the entire mechanical arm attached itself to Gu Qingshan's arm. He felt a bit numb. This was the soul carving knife assimilating with his body. After assimilation, this mechanical arm full of tentacles would be able to move according to Gu Qingshan's thought. A few moments later, the connection was successful. Gu Qingshan took a deep breath and sent his thought to the soul carving knife. Begin forging the void cutter. First step, fusing the materials. 191 tentacles extended from the soul carving knife, lightly touched the various materials, and brought them in front of Gu Qingshan. Heat material number 75, melt it, mold it, grind material number 31 into powder, infuse soul points into material number 56, fuse it with material #98. Gu Qingshan was fully focused as he issued one order after another in his mind. Finally, his first creation was complete. Offensive soul artifact, the void cutter. Gu Qingshan put the soul carving knife on the table and picked up the first soul artifact he had crafted. This was a small knife about the size of his index finger. Following the knowledge in his mind, Gu Qingshan infused it with soul points and let go. The void cutter silently hovered. It silently hovered in the void of space behind Gu Qingshan. And now, it was time to test out this soul artifact's properties. Gu Qingshan randomly picked up a sword and swung it. The void cutter gave off a warped fluctuation. A few dozen meters away, Gu Qingshan's afterimage appeared. Chapter 920. Gu Qingshan stared at his own afterimage from afar. The sword strike was over, but the afterimage was still there. Ah! Strange, why hasn't it dissipated yet? Gu Qingshan muttered in confusion. Looking back, the soul artifact, Void Slasher, was still hovering in the air, still absorbing his soul points. Gu Qingshan slowly understood. He sent his will to the Void Slasher. Sure enough, the Void Slasher let out a faint woo-woo sound. The afterimage flew in from afar and stopped next to Gu Qingshan. In other words, Gu Qingshan looked at his afterimage and raised his sword. The afterimage also raised its sword. Gu Qingshan unleashed a white crescent sword phantom. The afterimage also swung its sword, unleashing a white crescent sword phantom. So it was the afterimage that had always been there. This soul artifact called Void Slasher can manifest a humanoid figure that fights alongside the main body. This is basically 2 against 1. Furthermore, the afterimage won't be destroyed by an attack, as it can be recovered with soul points. As a means of attack, this effect was actually quite good. Gu Qingshan cut off the connection between himself and the Void Slasher. The afterimage disappeared. The Void Slasher lightly fell and was caught by Gu Qingshan with his hand. Gu Qingshan silently thought. He felt like something wasn't right. He infused his soul points into the Void Slasher. The afterimage appeared again. And this time, as he infused more soul points, the afterimage became clearer and clearer, almost exactly the same as the main body. But the afterimage was still only a faint shadow, still cold and emotionless. Gu Qingshan unleashed another crescent sword phantom. The afterimage followed suit, unleashing an even sharper sword phantom. Sensing the difference between the 2 sword phantoms, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but feel shocked. The afterimage's attack power had surpassed even that of Gu Qingshan's main body. Gu Qingshan was stunned, still in disbelief. He had never seen such a unique weapon before. The magic treasures of the cultivation world had always relied on the 5 elements or special 5 element. There were no such weapons. There was no such thing in the technological side. There might be some in the magic path, but most of them were weaker and couldn't withstand attacks at all. The Gu Chaos faction mostly had strange and bizarre things that hurt others and themselves, and none of them were this ferocious. The mystical realm, there was no point in mentioning it. That was something incomprehensible, but it was possible that something similar existed. As for the savage side, the occult side, the purgatory side, and the other endless worlds, although Gu Qingshan didn't know if there were any similar weapons, her intuition told her that there wouldn't be too many of them. Because this soul armament could duplicate the original body and unleash a power that surpassed the original body. Based on this point alone, it had already surpassed the other replication-type weapons. Gu Qingshan continued to infuse more soul points into the Void Cleaver. His afterimage became clearer and clearer, and the hairs on his face could almost be seen clearly. But the afterimage suddenly disappeared. Gu Qingshan was startled. So there was a limit. From the amount of soul points I infused, the afterimage should be able to unleash an attack that was 1 level higher than the original body. If I tried to increase its power any further, the afterimage would collapse. But as a shadow, being able to surpass the original body was already quite impressive. Just imagine, when you're evenly matched with an enemy, you suddenly summon a more powerful comrade to fight against. The result of the battle was self-evident. Looking at the thumb-sized Void Cleaver, Gu Qingshan couldn't help but feel excited. As long as I have this soul armament, I'll be able to unleash power that surpasses the 3,000 worlds realm, almost reaching the level of a paragon realm cultivator. No wonder so many people want a soul armament. No wonder the Harpy Mother accepted it without hesitation in Triest's collection world. Gu Qingshan carefully put the Void Cleaver away. He calmed himself down and returned to his workbench. There was still a lot of work ahead. He connected the soul carving knife again and began to craft the next soul armament. Time slowly passed. Before he knew it, Gu Qingshan had already finished crafting 12 Void Cleavers. While he was still in a good state, he didn't stop and created the defensive soul armament as well. Chaotic Elemental Bombardment Plate. This was a very interesting item. When faced with an attack from others, it would erupt with an overwhelming and powerful energy fluctuation used to scare off others. At the same time, it would turn the user into the most convenient elemental form to escape from the scene. Gu Qingshan tried it himself. He controlled the Void Cleaver to unleash an afterimage to attack himself. The chaotic elemental bombardment plate immediately unleashed power fluctuations that far surpassed a paragon realm cultivator to scare the afterimage. Unfortunately, the afterimage was only an afterimage. It didn't react at all. At this point, Gu Qingshan felt himself turning into a gust of wind that silently blew past where he stood, heading towards the depths of the abyssal jail. Gu Qingshan turned around to see another him, standing where he was, raising his sword and roaring. His aura flared, clearly ready to risk his life. What kind of defense is this? This is clearly a tool to escape. Gu Qingshan, who had once again turned back into a human, was a bit amused and casually put the chaotic elemental bombardment plate away. He then put the soul-carving knife and the 12 void cleavers away, as well as all the other materials. After that, it's time to kill Magic Dragon. Gu Qingshan stepped onto the round disc, left the workbench, and returned to the command center. I want to issue an order, Gu Qingshan said. A cold mechanical voice resounded from the dark sky. Frowny face, the only human young man to appear in the last 100 million years. Please speak, I want to destroy the weapon. Sleeping Magic Dragon, Gu Qingshan replied. Please wait a moment, I need to confirm your identity. A circular ring of light manifested under Gu Qingshan's feet, slowly rising above his head. A few moments later, the ring of light disappeared. An electronic voice resounded. Frowny face, identity confirmed. You are indeed human. Are you sure you want to destroy the sleeping Magic Dragon? I am sure. Magic Dragon is already dead. I insist on carrying out this procedure. Your order has been confirmed. Please follow the highest authority to initiate the destruction procedure. Understood. Gu Qingshan took out one of the void cleavers. A strong suction force wrapped around the void cleaver and pulled it out of his hand, flying straight up into the sky. The void cleavers flew into the dark sky and turned into a bright star. Gu Qingshan took out the second void cleavers. This soul artifact also flew into the dark sky and turned into another star. The 12 attack-type soul artifacts were all mounted in the dark sky, dispelling the darkness of the large space and illuminating the command center. Following established procedure to awaken the destructive power within Magic Dragon's soul, please wait patiently. When everything is ready, you will need to confirm the destruction procedure again. How do I confirm the procedure? Gu Qingshan asked. You will need to snap your fingers. Snap my fingers? Gu Qingshan didn't know what to say. Chem. I understand. Saying so, he stood still and silently waited. In the bygone era, humanity placed the destructive power of the Magic Dragon inside his soul. If the Magic Dragon was still alive, he would definitely be able to sense the change that occurred in his soul. If he was still alive. You cannot kill me! An enraged voice rang out. In front of Gu Qingshan, the Magic Dragon's spirit abruptly appeared. Although it was a soul body, its entire body was tightly bound by a huge black iron chain, and it could not move at all. The black chain was filled with flickering gray runes, giving off a series of high-pitched screeching noises. This was a chain that was strong enough to restrain the Magic Dragon's soul. Furthermore, invisible waves of energy enveloped Gu Qingshan's body for several dozen meters around him, completely protecting him. The cold mechanical voice resounded again. Frowny face, the destructive power of the soul is still being awakened. Defensive measures have been activated. Please do not worry. Gu Qingshan nodded and looked at the Magic Dragon's spirit. Compared to the last time they met, the other party was clearly different this time. The pair of black horns on his head were no longer standing straight up. Instead, they were sticking to his head and extending backward. The black color on the horns was slowly peeling off to reveal the grayish texture inside. The Magic Dragon's spirit's body was also different from last time. Balls of gray light swam back and forth on its body. Sometimes they would seep into its body and disappear. This was clearly not the normal appearance of the Magic Dragon. What did you do to yourself? Gu Qingshan asked. The Magic Dragon's spirit didn't answer him and simply stared at him, breathing heavily. You cannot kill me, why not? Gu Qingshan asked. Once I die, no one will be able to stop the Abyssal Fate Weaver. The Magic Dragon replied. You didn't really try to stop it when you were alive, Gu Qingshan commented. Magic Dragon was a bit surprised and muttered, "You know." "Indeed, I also know what you've always been thinking. Humanity isn't worthy of your loyalty, the power of the abyss is your true faith," Gu Qingshan replied. Magic Dragon looked at him with a hesitant expression. For a while, neither of them said anything. The mechanical voice resounded again. 2 minutes later, the destructive power will be fully activated. Magic Dragon abruptly laughed in a frenzy. Finally, an idiot came. He was so naive that he wanted to kill me. Ah ha 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 ha. Gu Qingshan looked at him and doubtfully asked, "Have you gone mad?" The Magic Dragon looked up to the sky and roared, "How regretful! How regretful! I was so close to completely turning into the abyss and getting rid of the burden on my soul. Why did a human have to come here at this time?" "Sorry, I was a bit slow," Gu Qingshan said. Magic Dragon abruptly stopped and looked at Gu Qingshan again. He seemed to have calmed down and slowly spoke. "Ever since the bygone era, no one has ever tried to kill me, because I am a flawed weapon." "Flawed?" Gu Qingshan doubtfully asked. "Indeed, a huge flaw," the mystic dragon grinned, revealing a mouthful of hideous teeth. "When you humans created me, you designed a causality law. Every 200,000 years, I would be able to wake up and devour the living beings infected by Magic Dragon's blood, thus becoming stronger. "I know about that," Gu Qingshan nodded. Magic Dragon stared closely at Gu Qingshan with a mocking look. "Then do you know that if someone kills me, they will take over that causality law and become the new Magic Dragon?" Gu Qingshan replied. "I understand, that's why the one who killed you was the Abyssal Jail's Central Command, not me," Magic Dragon mocked her. "Do you think the causality law is a joke? Although you couldn't kill me with your own hands, since I died because of you, according to the causality law, you will not be able to obtain the power that I've been accumulating for so many years. You will become the first and weakest Magic Dragon." Gu Qingshan froze. Magic Dragon smirked triumphantly and continued, "No one has ever tried to activate the command to kill me, because no one is willing to give up their human identity and become an anomaly, a weapon that humanity will no longer accept." His voice slowly became malicious. "All humans will instinctively fear you and stay away from you, because as soon as you come into contact with their bodies, you will spread the Magic Dragon's bloodline onto them. That way, they will have to choose whether to be devoured by you or kill you first. You will become the source of the curse of certain death. You will turn into a monster that everyone loathes and hates. From then on, for a long time to come, you will not be able to find any of your own kind, and no human will dare to approach you. You will only be able to wander around in eternal loneliness." His tone suddenly became hurried and full of provocation. "Pitiful guy, it's not too late to repent. You have to let me go, and then you'll maintain your identity as a human. You'll return to your own world as a normal person and have everything that belongs to you." At this point, the cold and emotionless mechanical voice finally resounded. "Frowny face, the power of destruction has been fully activated. Please give your orders." Magic Dragon looked at Gu Qingshan. Gu Qingshan lowered her head and said nothing. Magic Dragon's voice became a bit gentler and whispered, "Give up, child, you still have a lot of beautiful things to do, there's no need to turn yourself into a monster." Time slowly passed. A few moments later, Gu Qingshan slowly looked up and sighed. "Fate has never been something that we can choose." You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.